Don't sue me.
I was thinking more of Jurassic Park.
I do not rate a John Williams soundtrack. I'm sorry.
Oh, that would be one.
What?
John Williams is the man.
How can you not rate John Williams?
Well,
Or he does, or that
as
he
in-
doesn't rate A.
yes,
As in,
I
he's not
personally
observing us.
do not deserve a John Williams scored soundtrack. That's what I'm getting at.
Wow.
Are you getting one?
Am I going to get a John Williams soundtrack? Well,
No. I said when you're getting one.
when am I getting a sound? I don't know. If there's anybody out there who feels like they could, for a
Aggressively
reasonable
giving you
fee, write me a nice little intro sequence, then that would be awesome. Until that day.
Well,
We
technically
could
somewhere
all
out there
just, if we do it as a piss take and a parody, we could actually
Get it
do
fair
the Star
use
Trek.
enough, yeah.
Yeah, the Star Trek theme. We would just be like, oh.
Do it with kazoos.
We'll have because of a different section.
A cappella choral version of Archer's theme from Enterprise.
Yeah.
You've seen the one where they got the Spanish opera singer in and made out that she didn't know it was Star Trek themes the whole way through.
I haven't.
Yes, I have seen that.
we'll,
I think.
we'll just get Max Moon's wrestling theme. He's Space is close enough.
Okay. Right, is everybody, before we start, linked into Foundry?
Yep.
Yarp.
And has everybody who wants to been attached themselves to Video Ninja so that you can hear the background ambience?
Oh, I see that the bullying tactics worked.
There's an imposter among us.
Yeah, there's an imposter among us. Oh, can we just start airlocking people? This just turns into an episode of Among Us.
You tried, you shoved Linaris out, but the game's glitched, he's right back in.
Well, we've been
Well,
talking
because-
about shapeshifters all this time.
Well, Latude did just manage the transporters, and this is how he gets promoted. It's like, how'd you get promoted? Well, I rescued the first officer from his assassination attempt.
I'd like to point out that Latude is still Lieutenant Latude. He's not been promoted unless we've actually agreed that we are promoting him to the rank of second officer.
Well,
He could just,
I reckon
he could just kill the originals and release the copies from the buffering.
Yep.
it was all a plan. That was his plan all along. Just make transporter copies of all of the crew.
Shapeshifter Latude.
They'd never know. Anyway, welcome along
Just like
everybody
Kirk.
to the further adventures of the USS Navis. Tonight we will be playing through episode 5, titled Bacchus's Irresistible Call. Or as Latude would have you know it, episode 5, I am the night shift.
Not more Marcus.
It was actually pointed out to me after last week's episode went up on YouTube by the infamous Last Storyteller that we spent a good deal of time nitpicking over the speed of warp factors and yet still got the uniform colour of our Bolian tactical officer wrong. So,
Well, it was the first Bolian that you found, so yeah.
it wasn't actually the first Bolian that I found. I had numerous ones with the yellow colours on them, and I missed them all, and I got the red one. So that's entirely my fault.
That is true.
But-
yeah.
Because everything else on the ship is so by the book.
We got the uniform colours wrong. Yeah. Well, that is.
I'm pretty sure it's never one uniform in a picture.
There's one first officer who never
Well,
puts
unlucky.
his laser rifle down, and we have Vibers who's constantly going round with what looks like a large metal thimble.
Singing into a saucepan.
Yeah, he's singing into a saucepan.
Because I know what the actual image is, I couldn't see that. But now that I've looked, it does look like a saucepan, and I'm never going to be able to
He's
unsee
definitely singing into a saucepan. It doesn't matter what you say.
that. Funnily enough, he's singing the Star Trek original series theme song into the saucepan.
Just every time you walk into the engineering, oh, like Like,
Oh god, I
Amanda,
just realised it
shut
is
up,
as well.
please. Oh yeah, now that you've seen it, now you've seen the
can't
source book,
unsee it.
you will never be able to unsee the
He's
unsee the
not
source.
he's not seeing into it. Because he's not holding the actual up into his face. He's seeing at it, so he's seeing through the hard bit. So it's not even echoing. Or he's going to take a bite out of it.
Anyone got any questions or anything they want to make note of before we begin?
The crabs think we walk sideways.
No, they don't, because they know they walk sideways.
Ensign the Tick finally get over his crippling guilt.
How long did he spend with Nova in the positivity room?
Why do you fools fall in love?
We were discussing before on the Discord about possibility of promoting Natala.
I see. He wants to make it part of his own rank now that he gets the role of the second officer.
Well, unless anybody else has any other ideas or objections.
As long as you're not damaging my warp core, everything's good.
Because, I mean... Damn you, Natala. I don't think Keval's reputation... Actually, no, Keval's reputation is on point for a promotion as well. So, Ensign Curse, I'm afraid, has not been promoted often enough, or indeed is not qualified yet. To,
can we just put Mr. Monaco? Mr. Monaco.
That's a civilian, and the bartender.
Right. And who's the second officer on board the ship? Oh, the barman.
Okay, this may be a long shot, but I vote for Trelane.
No, we can't hear you.
You've dropped off again.
Oh no! Oh, we've lost Jan again. I'm sorry. Try again.
Hence why the insanity is growing.
Oh, I heard him. He's quiet.
Very quiet.
Yeah, very quiet.
Technical
little
issues.
Too quiet.
Still a bit
How about
quiet. Oh.
How about now?
Yeah, better but quiet, but still quiet.
Slowly getting there.
Alright.
Let's turn him off on our end.
Sadly, I have Jan all the way up to 100. Oh.
Yeah, even then it's not coming through all that clearly.
That wasn't too bad, I don't think, for me.
How about now?
Ooh,
better.
much better.
Oh,
That's good.
Right, so 100's all the way.
Yay!
Yes, we need your voice to be loud enough because, yeah, the only vaguely sane one in the entire group.
It's true.
What?
So basically, we could both be promoted to Lieutenant Commander at this stage, and then in that instance, I don't mind going for the second officer, but if you'd like to go for it, we can put it that way.
There's only one way to resolve this. Fight!
Yeah, but I've got an unfair advantage. I'm used to duels with deadly weapons.
And yet, Natala has focus fencing.
First sleeve.
Should be interesting.
Pit.
So offensive foil versus an Ushan Tor. That should be interesting.
I think Sass and Anados will be showing off because his girlfriend's here.
Well, yes, this does look curiously like an arena, doesn't it? And this place was actually constructed by the Klingons, so...
Yeah, we use the Klingon method of promotion, you know.
Kill your superior.
God, who would do that, Andrews?
I mean, the
advantage really shifty.
The advantage, as far as I'm aware, as the second officer doesn't necessarily have to leave their current post. Perks up playing Andrews. So, you know, before, whilst second officer Andrews was technically the tactical and security head, but now that she's put forward for a promotion, the second officer position is open and can be taken by anyone who still occupies a bridge position. So, it depends. Does Keval Thazanan think he deserves shot at second officer, or Is he content with being Chief Helm Officer?
I think his his command score is pretty. Not command. Command is pretty atrocious. So I don't think he's really cut out for second officer.
Well, you say that because Natala's is one as well.
Natala's is atrocious as well, but it is something I'm planning on upping next time. We've got the is it the 4th point of?
Well, yes, you now do have, all of you have 4 points of 4 milestones that you've
which
all
is enough
earned.
to buy a discipline point, I believe.
So, this takes us over to, let's see now, Life Path Starship, milestones. So, you can buy a medium milestone with 3 minors, and a medium 1 will allow you to choose 2 attributes and reduce one by one and up another by another. Or replace one of your talents with another talent, or choose a supporting character that was used during the last adventure and use it to change their stats in a similar way.
So we need a major probably to do anything with disciplines.
Yeah, so minors and medium milestones tend to be reduce one, raise another, as a result of shifting focuses. Whereas if you want to just plain raise one without dropping another, that's a major milestone for which you will need 6 minors because they equate to 2 mediums.
So we're currently at 4 now. Okay.
Well, actually, you say that. Let me take a look at your character notes. I do believe you are... Yeah, you're all on 4 minor. So you can buy 1 medium, or you can save up to buy a major. When you get to 6. Entirely.
I think to save up then.
Yeah, I think I'll save up as well. But having said that, I'm quite happy for Natala to go for second officer.
Alrighty then. No other objections amongst the rest of the crew?
Given that it fits with her "I am the voice of the crew" value, having the chance to stand in the more private briefings to have that voice to issue.
All right then, if there are no objections. Excellent.
No objection here.
Nope.
I mean, if anyone was going to object, it would be Luchud, and quite frankly, he's fine. He's happy where he is, being in Transporter Room 1,
Yeah, because he's got a clone army at his disposal.
Yeah, if he wants to get a promotion, he just kills off the original, brings out a clone, and they'll promote.
Now, in case nobody's noticed, and I imagine everybody has, we do have a new voice amongst us tonight.
Is it surprise Pikachu face? Really?
The Tude finally has a voice.
Oh God, no! If Alex is playing the Tude, I'm going to kill him.
What,
So,
Alex
yes.
or the Tude?
Alex is joining us
Well,
tonight.
no.
As which
If you
character
can't
we
kill-
will find
if you
out.
Can't kill the character, kill the player.
Well, that
Doesn't
takes me
help
back
that
to the
I'm
early
nearer
days
to
of
him.
live role playing. If you can't hurt the monster, hurt the monster. Anyway,
And this is...
let's change our ambience from one of basic night shift ambience to being what we have in front of us here.
Damn night shift, what did they do to my walk?
Watched it in fear of anything going wrong, knowing that they'd be shouted at by Vibers the next day if anything happened.
But there's a fingerprint on it.
I fixed it after the last one.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
who's the DJ?
Who's the DJ? We will get to that. Okay. So, unless there are any other questions people want to ask, anything we need to clear up before we move on? Nobody? Nope. Nobody?
Nope.
All right then. After you're about a week has passed since your last mission, and just to place this into the context of the overall Star Trek timeline, this is Stardate 4897.8.3, which is 1 week after Odo killed the Changeling on board the Defiant. And the last thing the Changeling said, which has since been circulated amongst Starfleet, is, "You're too late, we are everywhere." So we're now a week after that event occurred on Star Trek Deep Space Nine. There was a Badoop. Okay. So, the crew of the Navis, after having put in for repairs after what happened with the Takarans and the prototype quantum torpedo, you've spent the better part of the week basically moored in Narendra Station's dock, having the ship repaired. Thankfully, the damage wasn't that extensive. So most of the damage that needed repairing was pretty much superficial stuff. And such, the Navis has since been test flown a couple of times by yourselves to make sure it's back up to working condition again. In that time, those of you who are bridge officers have seen Commander Linares, your first officer, get called into the captain's ready room a couple of times. And they've been having kind of like discussions, quiet discussions away from everybody else. But obviously, rumors have begun to spread. Now, regardless of that, some people amongst the crew are beginning to wonder if maybe there's talk amongst the superior officers now of stuff like blood screenings going on, maybe. You know, how do we tell if there are indeed changelings amongst us? So certain members of the Navis crew have started wondering if there are going to be any changes being implemented, extra security procedures. There's certainly been some, not tension, but there's been a marked wariness now amongst everybody on Narendra Station as a whole. You see it occasionally when you walk down past the many shops on the Galleria, or past people in the corridors when you're going back to your quarters in the residential area. People are sometimes giving each other sideways looks, always with that, you know, could they be? So it's proving to be very difficult at the moment to push past this kind of rising paranoia that's starting to increase amongst people. However, business in this particular area of space, near the Shackleton Expanse, it being so far away, relatively speaking, from the Alpha Quadrant, there's kind of that feeling of separation as well, that illusion of safety by separation, of distance. So there's a lot of stuff about news coming from back home. People, Starfleet and the Federation are now starting to get a bit, not openly paranoid, but there's a lot of discussion on the news feeds about new security measures that could be put in place to try and wheedle out the possible infiltrators in their midst. On top of all of that, however, one particular day, one particular morning, all of the crew of the Navis, especially the senior staff, are called to the auditorium in Narendra Station. And you're all asked to arrive in your dress uniforms. And this is where we find ourselves. This, of course, is not representative of the entire crew of the Navis, but if you look, we do have a lot of our NPCs, our non-player characters, the characters that have turned up even briefly. We've got all 5 of the Bravo quintuplets, and a couple of our supporting characters, as well as the background NPCs that have made appearances before. Everybody's here. Luchud, of course, is off by himself in the furthest corner, as far away from everybody as he can get.
It's almost like he's starting to get the impression somebody doesn't like him.
What, of course, takes everybody's notice is at the very center of the auditorium, on the floor, is Captain Ducasse standing beside Admiral Hebert. In dress uniform, put on a clean lab coat. And, of course, standing at the fore is Commander Linares. Near the presentation controls is Lieutenant Sharessa, the Admiral's assistant, and you also recognize the impatient and scowling visage of Dr. Helena Taliaferro, the head scientist of Narendra Station. And she appears to have brought somebody along to this particular gathering as well. So there's a bit of a hushed air of officiousness, if that's indeed the word I want to use there. There's something obviously important is going on here. And so, Admiral Hebert just kind of makes a nod towards her assistant, who puts a spotlight on the central part of the auditorium. Whispers to the rest, I don't hope that Dr. Moss... I didn't catch the rest of that. I don't hope that Dr. Moss isn't getting another medal.
That was supposed to be Andrews, I do apologise.
Well, funnily enough, I am in my dress uniform and I do have my Cochrane Medal of Excellence pinned on me. I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Nova's also pinned her Star-Crossed to her uniform. What a lucker.
This is the time to be wearing the award medals. Yes, indeed.
And what did I get that medal for? I'll give you a clue. It was Moss related.
So, when the spotlight goes on, slightly dimming everyone else in the stands, Admiral Hebert kind of straightens herself and prepares to speak. So, the first thing I want to address today is congratulations to all of you, the crew of the Navis. Today marks a special occasion in light of everything else that's happened in Starfleet today and the Federation and everything else elsewhere. Today marks an accomplishment that you all have made. As of this moment, the great experiment that was the USS Navis has completed, and it is time for the research to continue in a different vein and a different area. Ever since the construction of the Akira-class space frame and other cruiser-class ships designed and constructed around the same time as the Akira-class, the Admiralty has always been toying with the idea of how much a cruiser can take, as far as sheer firepower and, overall, energy output. And so began the experiment, which was the Navis, placing enormous power, both in weaponry and in power output, in the hands of a single vessel, finding out whether or not it could cope. And to that end, we needed a very special type of crew who could be trusted to handle the uncertain nature of such a prototype vessel. And, to each and every one of your credit, you did. Every single log entry made, every single report filed was sent back to Starfleet, the Corps of Engineers, and the Admiralty in order to analyze everything you did, every success you had, every mishap that was endured and corrected. Everything was of value. And so, it's been declared that this part of the great experiment has been concluded successfully. And as a result, I am proud to present to your captain the official designation plaque of the Navis, NCC 6001. Congratulations to all of you. And it is this point that Admiral Hebert hands a placard with the USS Navis and its rundown of its crew, and indeed its new, now official, non-prototype designation. Happy applause. Yep, a good deal of applause comes from the crew. And so, continues Admiral Hebert, we come to the next part. Due to your efforts, the Admiralty and the Starfleet Corps of Engineers are now interested in furthering the design and creating an even bigger cruiser, utilizing the same kind of power output and overall weaponry that was started with the Navis and is now being carried on Project Armitage. The Armitage ship, the first of its kind, is being constructed as we speak and shall be ready for test flight soon enough, which means with a new ship must come a new captain. Captain Ducasse wishes to remain with the Navis, but Starfleet, in regards to the Armitage, needs a captain who is prepared to deal with all of the uncertainties of working a prototype vessel. So, it is with great pleasure and pride that I present to you all the new captain of the USS Armitage, Captain Lenaris Loss. And she turns to your former XO. And she pins the new captain pip on his collar. Captain Ducasse enthusiastically starts up an applause, which of course is carried on by Lieutenant Nova.
Bertram's
like,
yeah.
Because I'm sat behind him kicking.
Nova's like, clap. Oh, all right, fine.
So, originally she said about researching experiments, and Bertram started thinking about his own researching experiments, which is what he's been doing the last week, to be honest. Specifically the last week he's been kind of researching bioneural stuff like they've started experimenting with, if that's okay, Matt.
Yeah, I've kept that in mind, don't worry. It's always in my mind.
You are always
just like the Elvis Presley song. I'm not going to give you my impersonation of Elvis because that would be horrible. And I would lose more viewers than I have. Definite loss to us. Oh my god. I would penalise you for that pun if it wasn't so damn good.
I'd like to point out we have got 0 momentum at the moment and 14 threat. He's just going to blow it all. Just...
Now 15 threat for that pun.
Oh, this is just the start. There's going to be more threat going in for jokes.
Oh, yeah.
Do the Bravos laugh in sync with each other? Because that'd be really freaky.
I've literally got your clap.
They each give one clap in a kind of wave.
Yeah, all their clap is simultaneous. Yeah, so it would be constant. You know, they all clap.
The Zen clap of acceptance. Yes.
Oh no, that'd be weird if they all just literally just said each had said a ha, but they said it in waves, so it's a whole. They make the whole ha 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 kind of thing of one person, but through all of them. Just one each. Oh, that'd be weird.
Not sure I want to think about that.
Aren't simultaneous. They're in perfect harmony with half-second gaps between them all.
Yeah, most of the crew of the Navis are used to this by now. So 2 minutes. What's that supposed to mean? Is that she's like, all right, get on with it?
Life expectancy.
Or was that Webby saying, I'll be back in 2 minutes?
I think it's probably that one.
Back in 2 minutes. Okay, fair enough. Life expectancy.
Interesting.
Okay, yes. So, well, that kind of puts me in a difficult position because there's the next announcement.
That's okay. We can announce Latude without him.
I'm gonna have to promote Latude then. There's no other choice.
It's the only way to be sure.
Yeah.
Or I could promote Natala.
Yep.
So it basically goes, Andrews, could you come up here? Andrews? I'll have to find someone else for first officer.
Insubordination, Natala, you're promoted instead.
Maybe this is Keval Fazanen's time. Get up there, boy.
No. Let's go to the logical conclusion. First officer Nova, whether she wants it or not.
I've already established that she would quite happily fail every entrance exam that you
Based on everyone's reputation, the only one not eligible is Vibers.
Quite.
Yeah, sorry about that. Rose came down and was like, can you put some cream on the back of my legs, please? I'm like, yes.
Yep, children come first. Always. Anyways. So yes, Commander Linares Loss is leaving as first officer. So Admiral Hebert turns back to the crew. Which brings us to our next point and assignment. With the loss of its current XO, the Navis needs a new first officer. Myself, Captain Linares, and Captain Ducasse have been deliberating, and we agree that the best candidate for first officer of the USS Navis is Sophia Andrews. So, Commander Andrews, if you will step forward. And so, Commander Andrews is now able to step forward and step in front of the Admiral, at which point the Admiral... surprised Pikachu face, indeed. The Admiral presents Sophia with her new Commander's Pip. Congratulations, Commander Sophia Andrews. And of course, yes, slow clap. Slow clap from Nova. She then kicks Bertram and gets everybody else to join in. So, yeah.
What, in the slow clap?
The slow clap, obviously, definitely. So, Webby, if you could do me a favour, open up your character sheet and bring your reputation back down to 10 and change your rank from Lieutenant Commander to Commander. Your assignment now is no longer tactical, it has to be command. So you have to take that out of your assignment. You are full-on command, so tactical and security are no longer your direct duties, but as first officer you have a lot more responsibility.
Yeah. As first officer, like in the middle of a firefight, just boot off the tactical officers like, it's mine! Diverting tactical to the command console.
I just got the layout the way I liked it. So, yes, big clap from the crew. Andrews takes her place.
Despite the first officer's criminal ignorance of Moss.
Andrews takes her place back at with the rest of the crew. And Admiral Hebert continues. Of course, this means that the Navis is short a second officer, and the discussion as to who should replace Commander Andrews as second officer of the Navis was not an easy one. However, we have arrived at a consensus. Alex's cursor is hovering over Nova. It's the last thing she'd expect.
Ah, surprise, Nova.
It's the only way you can promote her is like this ambush.
Yes, actually, Nova is hiding behind Dr. Bertram at this point, hoping nobody notices her. Bertram moves out the way. Nope. Admiral Hebert goes, Lieutenant Natala, if you will join me at the front, please. Yeah. Keval stands up, Keval sits down. Damn it. His antennae droop just a little bit. No, it's all good.
You go into a dance, just pretend you're doing the Kikoki as a cultural celebration. Up, down,
Keval, do the dance of happiness. That was another cross-franchise quote there, so I hope I get points for that. Please don't sue me. Right, so Admiral Hebert continues. She pins the Lieutenant Commander Pip on Lieutenant Natala's collar. Congratulations, Lieutenant Commander Natala, 2nd Officer and Chief Science Officer of the Navis. So yes, likewise, John, if you change everything, Chief Science Officer, yep, Lieutenant Commander rank, reputation gone back down to default of 10. Awesome sauce. Everybody claps. Encouraging applause, claps and pretends like she's always been at the back, says Nova. Hi guys! So Natala can now take her place at the front ranks of the crew list. And yes, Admiral Amanda Hebert continues. With that joyous news out of the way, vacation crew member stroke my head and I will kill you. Yes, indeed. Right, Admiral Hebert puts her hand up to silence everybody's applause at this point and redirects everybody's attention back to her. Now that the promotions have all been done with, we have... And just as the Admiral is about to continue, at this point, Dr. Taliaferro kind of walks in front of the Admiral and goes, yes, we've had all that self-congratulatory stuff, now it's time for us to get to the actual work. Okay. What the Admiral was about to say, interjects Dr. Taliaferro, is that your next assignment has come up, and it's an important one. Now, my staff and I have been working very hard doing long-range scans of the Shackleton Expanse, looking for anything and everything that could be of interest and import. And of late, we believe we have discovered something that needs to be investigated. Now, previously, only a few Federation ships have had experience with the Shackleton Expanse. Not all of them good. For the most part, the Shackleton Expanse was first encountered during the 23rd century during Starfleet's oh-so-celebrated 5-year mission, when it sent countless Constitution-class vessels in every which direction in order to explore the galaxy at large. All very good. Now, the USS Lexington at the time was the ship to come across the Shackleton Expanse, and of course they had no knowledge of the gravitational and astrological anomalies that make up the majority of the Expanse. So needless to say, when they came across the Expanse, they found themselves in hot water quickly. They managed to limp their way through most of the gravitational anomalies, known as the washboard, and put into the only stable nearby system that they had detected, which was afterwards known as the Bacchus system. They only made preliminary scans of this system before they repaired their ship enough to limp back home towards Federation space. However, in that time, they recorded a single M-class planet, Bacchus 4, which appeared to display signs of former occupancy by an ancient civilization. At the time of their scanning, they detected no life forms, at least of any advanced degree, on the planet. Only the signs of former occupancy. Recently, my staff and I have been viewing long-range sensors scans and have discovered that the Bacchus system has now registered an unknown power emission. We want somebody to go and investigate it. Now, ordinarily I prefer a science vessel, but for reasons I can only guess at. Currently, the better science vessel, the USS Venture, has been asked off as a favor to guard Deep Space Nine and its whole thing next to the Bajoran people. Which I'm sure is a lot more interesting than what we've got going on here. The Bellerophon is, of course, doing whatever the Bellerophon does in its spare time, so I'm left with you. Which means the Navis is now going to be in charge of going off into the Bacchus system within the Shackleton Expanse and investigating what these strange power readings are. Now, I have made it known to the Admiral and to Starfleet as a whole that I am not happy with the situation we currently have, that none of my civilian scientists are posted aboard your vessel in order to give their professional, expert opinion on the things that you might find in the Shackleton Expanse. As such, I have asked, oh so very nicely, in my typical fashion, for each and every Starfleet vessel posted to this station to have one of my staff members posted aboard. As such, you will be taking one of my xenoarchaeologists and xenolinguists, Jonathan Edwards. She kind of indicates off to the, as Jan put it, the DJ. The civilian scientist standing next to now Captain Linares, who's all of a sudden rather aware of everyone now looking at him.
And runs off.
Greetings. Your reputation precedes you.
Yes. You can polish up their brass later on. They don't need congratulating. We've already had 20 minutes of that self-congratulatory nonsense. Now, he has a very important job to do. He's an expert in his field, and that's why he's going along with you. He's also a xenolinguist, so that means he can probably fill in for your vacant communications officer, so you will treat him well and treat him as the expert he is. Otherwise, I will hear about it, in which case your captain will hear about it, in which case your admiral will hear about it, in which case Starfleet Admiralty will hear about it, and trust me when I say no one will like the consequences. Right, you know what you're going to do, so I leave you to do the administrative stuff, Admiral, Captain, and everybody else. Thank you very much. Goodbye. The
Such a
charming
nice lady.
Taliaferro then just walks out of the auditorium. The Admiral, in the meantime, sighs heavily, just shakes her head. Well, that kind of takes care of the mission briefing, I suppose, says Admiral Hebert. Okay, well, since I've basically had my thunder stolen, I will leave the particulars to yourselves. You're due to depart in the next 2 hours, so prepare for departure then. Otherwise, dismissed. At which point, the Admiral goes over to confer with her assistant, Captain Ducasse. Starts congratulating Captain Linares on his promotion.
Yeah, I think Andrews would do the same.
Captain Linares shakes Commander Andrews' hand and goes, well, I couldn't think of anyone better to be first officer, but just be aware, since I knew this was going to happen, I deliberately left all the crew evaluation reports on your desk ready to be evaluated. So, he then pats Andrews on the shoulder. Good luck with that. And I'll see you in space. And he kind of walks off.
Okay, back. Sorry, what did I miss? And I had to step away very briefly for something.
That's fine.
Not a huge amount.
Yeah. Andrews is just going to look over at the Captain of the cast and got in the really...
I thought you introduced my station.
Well, I think we'll say that Dr. Taliaferro suggested the station. Maybe even outright demanded the station. It's unclear with
so we're
her.
on that. I'm suspicious of you.
Yeah.
Changeling.
Yeah. We need to do
actually,
full
on that note,
evaluation when he gets on board.
Nova has gone around the ship finding like the most paranoid people there that are like causing the most paranoia for her, and she's now set up a chart in her room. So there was this big meeting where she got them all together and said that she was going to draw a symbol on this chart, and that they're going to draw that on their wrist and cover it in a bandage, then prick their finger and dot their name on this chart every day. But the secret is they're not actually drawing the symbol, just thinking about doing it and not looking. And that's going to try and reduce the amount of paranoia in like the worst affected people on the ship.
Has the map changed out of curiosity? Because I can only see myself on this one.
I just...
Not for me.
I'm losing the connection to the server a lot. Something's going on.
Yes, it's saying re-establish and re-establish,
Yeah.
re-establish.
So
I'm
we'll wait.
There we are.
section I'm rebooting.
There we are, all back.
So yeah, she's just gone back into her like full morale officer mode because she doesn't like the feeling of paranoia.
That's fair.
It's fine, it's not paranoia. They are out to get you.
That's exactly what she thinks with this amount of paranoia on a ship that she's usually basking in. She also owes Bertram some moss, so she's going to spend the next 2 hours trying to find a decent like specimen of moss on the space station.
Nope. Who did we lose there?
Me.
Everybody still with us?
I think so.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Everybody give their test that their characters still got some connection. You know, just move them around, make sure everyone's got control of their characters, because I just want to make sure we're not got any lag going on here. Okay.
Yeah, I think
Seems
Jan's
fun.
having sound troubles again, isn't he? He's just...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Jan going in and out.
How's it going, Jan? You alright? Oh, that's not good. We have no Jan. Something moss. I'm working on replacing it. Okay.
Yeah,
And
so she'll spend
Andrews
the
is
next
busy
couple of hours finding him
breakdancing.
a specimen.
So let's move us to the Navis Bridge if we can. That'll be a nice litmus test of how well we've got a connection here. As you can all see at home, I'm stuck on 68%.
Yeah,
Really?
70.
70.
66.
Really? Hope that this doesn't mean that
71.
any server problems again. Oh.
Yeah. Why do they always time it for our game?
Latude!
Damn it, Latude.
Bertram, can you stop sending moss to the hosting company? He's trying to take over.
Right. I might have to force refresh this because all I saw was a big black square where the bridge should be. So
No, I
let's
can
try
see
this again.
everyone.
I need to change the prototype tokens.
For some reason, I can move around Vibers and Decas.
Yeah, Vibers I think at some point was made publicly owned.
Nationalised.
Decas
No,
is
no, I've got
definitely
reprivatising.
nationalised.
My engine room, damn it.
The Navis Bridge is stuck at 86%, 100, and I still have no background image.
Sophia's
Yeah, can delete old stuff here.
I can see everything.
changeling.
It's fine, we have a solution to this. Latude,
We're missing a few
pick
people.
up on aisle 2.
Yes,
I'm
so...
getting back in.
Oh, there you are.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
we got you. Right, I can't see this, so I'm going to have to log out and log back in, because it's not loading the background images for me, so give me a few moments. But, in the meantime...
He's sitting in my chair.
Well...
Andrews will naturally try and sit down in that chair, and then be like, wait a minute.
Yes, so it's been suggested that your new, well, not recruit, but your new crew member, your civilian crew member, has been given a provisional non-commissioned rank of ensign. It's still not showing it.
Has anyone stolen his blood yet?
Yeah, I think he needs a full medical evaluation before he's allowed on board.
Yep.
And he has to be subjected to the Nova experience.
I was going to say, if he hasn't had a blood test, there's probably like a thumbtack or something on his chair ready to prick him. And she's just paying like extra attention to it.
I'm just throwing you guys back to the auditorium for a brief moment in time. I'm going to close the bridge on live view.
I just realised that half of the people in this room are publicly owned. Da, 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 da.
Including Gareth's character. As he looks hungrily at that.
Fine. We
sauce,
have
but...
a solution to the
Still
DNA thing.
Good lord.
Well, this new cloaking device that the Navis has got has a few problems.
Is it coming up as black for you guys too?
Yes, it is.
No, I can see
It's fine for me.
see everything.
Reload the your browser rather than the actual Forge.
I am doing control refresh to try and force it to reacquire the assets, and it's still giving me a black background. It's not fetching that. Anybody else having that problem?
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
just
just reloading now.
I'm reopening now.
Oh yeah, we had this issue the other night, didn't we? You ended up having to swap to a different browser. Oh, everyone swapped to an Internet Explorer. Sorry, Microsoft Edge.
Never. Never at all, ever.
But it's the default. It's amazing.
Ever.
It's
Microsoft
fine.
tells me.
We've got Safari for you as well.
Bruh.
Yes, so, as I was saying, whilst I'm busy reloading, your newest member, of course, being a non-commissioned officer, and also not holding any actual rank in Starfleet, has now essentially been given a cadet uniform. Invalid password provided for...
That's what Edwards gets, right?
That's
When
what
he types on the
Edwards
console.
gets. Invalid command, unrecognized crew member.
Nope.
I've completely
How do you guys
reopened
wear
the view.
these uniforms? These are too itchy.
Oh,
They're sprayed on the
luxury
interior with
version.
anti-changeling repellent.
Still black.
Itchy, is it?
He goes to put his password in and a needle pops out the thing and just stabs him with that. Yeah.
Nothing at all. I am going to take one last crack at
Andres,
this.
we received some weird commands. Received some weird engineering requests from operations. Can you check these over? I think they might count as cruel and unusual punishment to crew members.
Thanks for doors.
Reading through Nova's kind of like evaluation report, and it's like failed the command exam by 1 point, failed the command exam by 1 point, failed the command exam by 1 point, failed the command exam by 1 point. Right.
Failed
I
command
know
exam
Nova.
by 1 point. There are 0 points on the exam because it said, "What is your name?"
Yeah. Every other exam she's ever taken, she's got sort of like 90% or above, and just like.
Let me reaffirm that. Maybe it'll do it this time.
Suspicious.
She definitely would not be doing well with full paranoid.
Let's see if this works. 95%. We apologize for the technical difficulties we are currently experiencing. We will reload your starship in a few moments. Please bear
Simply
with
the fact
us.
that Webby got,
There we are.
Webby got, it's because Webby got promoted. He shouldn't be allowed it. Overall reality's breaking.
Oh, Mr. Edwards, we need to do a thorough investigation of this airlock. Would you assist me, please?
No.
I insist.
I'm sorry, Commander. That airlock's out of order. It was reported by
I
our
insist.
previous second officer.
Yeah, I insist, and I'm backing it up with this phaser rifle.
Well, anyway. The crew has about 2 hours to prepare to leave. So, back to the bridge for me. Oh, they keep throwing me off. So yeah, this is going to be the crew layout on the bridge for now, because obviously Andrews is in the first officer post. I am going to assume that the supporting character that we created with the incorrect, thank you for noting that, color on the... Wow, I can't even remember the actual word. Uniform! Gee willikers. That's the tactical station. The councillor, of course, sits here, but we don't have a councillor as of yet, so... Chief Helm Officer, Operations is there. This is usually where Edwards is.
I changed the consoles around, so our new communications officer has to stand up.
The science and engineering tend to be at the back. So Natala's still at her usual science outpost. Vibers has got his engineering readout at the back, and of course, whenever he needs to be on the bridge, Dr. Bertram has the sickbay readouts loaded to that particular station on the bridge.
Bertram, there is space on the councillor's chair if you'd rather have a front seat.
Well, just at the councillor at the very front.
Here's the thing, why is a councillor or a member of the bridge crew?
Because they have the rank of
hiding
commander.
something.
Yeah.
Because every so often the captain has a breakdown from all the weird stuff that happens.
Yeah, I get
sure he doesn't snap.
psychological help, like, help is like important, but it just seems like something that you wouldn't need to be like that kind of rank and a bridge officer for.
So I think it's probably a holdover from Next Generation, where I assumed that they had the council on the ship so that she could actually tell when the person on the view screen was lying and whisper to the captain, "He's lying his little cotton socks off. My betazoid senses tell me that."
All councillors are betazoid.
Well, yeah, actually,
the council that wasn't.
I can see section 4, so like 39 or whatever it's called, so like arranging for that.
Although there was a comment in the most recent episode of Picard, I think, that was basically, "I'm very surprised there are any human councillors anymore. Isn't everyone just telepaths now?"
The answer was quiet, Latude.
More or less.
Pretty much.
Now, I'm going to... Sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I mean, if you're going to have a telepath or an empath as a counselor, why would you want a human? I mean, humans are so inferior.
Well, because humans don't like to truly tell what's going on in their head.
I mean, why would you want someone who has no supernatural abilities and only has training when you could have someone like Nova?
Invade your privacy.
Now, I'm going to switch us to back to the station.
Oh God,
where
we've given up and gone to the pub.
It's Harry!
What, our best civilian security officer?
So pretty much, Captain Linares invited his old crew, including the new one, to have a bit of a goodbye drink, and he eventually has to say goodbye because he is off to his new post, and you guys have got to prepare for yours. Now, as you are getting ready to as you're just winding down, you're trying to Commander, pardon me, Natala at least, would be trying to make the new recruits be a bit more comfortable. I get the general impression.
Yeah, that is the general method.
As such, inviting him along to be with the rest at Maxim's place is it. Edwards, Jonathan Edwards, Mr. Edwards. You're familiar with Maxim's place. It's one of the quieter yet still lively enough joints on the Narendra Station Galleria. It's obviously not a club, so it's not just pulse-pounding music all the time. It's not strictly a restaurant, it's more like something in between where someone could just go along for, you know, meetups and gatherings and stuff. Like a cafe kind of thing. More than anything else. And it's whilst you're in the middle of some awkward conversation, trying to fill the silence, that a bunch of Klingons walk in. Gonna copy a few extras. New promotions and the new member. A couple of Klingons walk through the door to the place, one of which is carrying a lot more official insignia than the others, and they all tromp in and kind of place themselves down at this empty table. But the one obviously in charge looks around and then notices your table. And rather than joining his fellows, he walks over to yours and kind of positions himself by here. At which point, he addresses the table.
I wish to sit here.
I will invite him to the table.
And he sits very firmly down.
Friend?
What was that? Sorry, Davis?
That's blood wine for our friend.
Blood wine. One of.
I will take a Saurian brandy.
Make that 2 Saurian brandies instead.
Just a quick sidebar.
Yep.
Would I be able to greet him in his Klingon custom and tongue from my focuses, or would I?
I imagine yes. Xenolinguist, and you're on a station with Klingons. You would have brushed up on your conversational Klingon well beforehand.
Give him a traditional greeting in Klingon.
Nupnech, I believe, is the traditional greeting in Klingon, which roughly translates as "What do you want?" Which is the standard Klingon greeting.
Yeah. Nupnech.
At which point he nods towards you, and the floating server drone just kind of brings over a tray with a pair of Saurian brandies.
You are the crew of the USS Navis, correct?
Correct.
Quite correct.
Lord Rukavage.
I don't believe we've had the honour. I'd assume we'll be able to pick up the rank insignia because of the actual additional that he is a captain.
Yes.
I am Captain Akul of the Ikeus Mupui, which has just made dock on this station. I will be assigned the protection of this vessel.
Pardon me, I've just got that wrong.
My vessel will be assigned the protection of this station, whilst vessels like yours go out and discover new frontiers.
Nova.
Welcome to Narendra, Captain.
Yellow.
Nova gets the very definite sense of envy from the Klingon.
Okay, that's a bit of taken aback and eyeing him a bit. Really?
Is Nova actually saying really?
No.
Okay.
Giving him that sort of look.
Okay. John?
Natala would almost certainly say something, I can't quite think of how to phrase it correctly, of, I am entrusting my family to your care, effectively.
Okay.
I can't think how to phrase it properly.
Well, yeah,
Oh, glorious.
I get that. I get what you're trying to get to. And he nods appreciatively at that.
It takes a different kind of bravery to venture out into the unknown and discover new things, to conquer the galaxy itself. Many of my brethren regard me as an atypical Klingon, as you no doubt are regarding me now. But my kinsmen forget that as well as being warriors, well, needless to say, Klingon starships did not get to fly by simply beating an engine with a bat'leth. There are, contrary to popular opinion, scientists and engineers amongst the Klingons. I have always held the exploration of the galaxy as a warrior's duty, to find new wonders and new sciences that can benefit the Empire. As such, it has reached my attention that you will be questing out into the Expanse on a mission of exploration. I wish you all the best of luck in this. I wish it were myself that were going. But if I may be so bold, I would ask a favor of you upon your return. I would wish for you all to sit here with me once again and tell me of your exploits, what you encountered. Reading data and logs on a pad can only give you so much information. I want to hear from your own mouths, your own experiences, what it is you felt, what it is you saw when you ventured out into the unknown expanse. I would be honored if you would regale me with such tales upon your return. What say you, my friends?
Sounds reasonable.
Nova says it should be happy to, as long as you will share a tale of your own once we return.
Ah! My tales are as much of discovery as they are of conquest. So I shall be more than happy to share my own exploits.
Wonderful.
My fellows do not consider me much of a Klingon for this, but I have risen to the rank of captain, not because I am a scientist, but because I am a warrior as well. Yours is the
Clearly
warship,
I
believe.
Clearly you have gained much recognition, given your decoration.
Let's just say that Chancellor Gowron owed me a few favors, and I cashed one of them in to have myself posted here. I wish to be on the forefront of discovery as well. General Kargan will take some convincing, I think, to allow the Mapui to venture forth on missions of exploration. He is more of a traditionalist, as one would expect. However, I can be very convincing when I need to be. In any case,
Captain, it would be worthwhile if both parties we can put in good words for each other, and there may be a potential for
a joint venture
rotation.
I would be most interested in a joint scientific venture. I would be honored to accompany you in such endeavors. Very well. I shall put forth to General Kargan that we should have a joint operation. Who knows what we will find together, what dangers we will have to face, what strange new worlds we will have to investigate. I look forward to it immensely. Kaplan, I will speak to you all again. He just kind of tromps off back to his fellows.
You notice as he goes back to his crew that he then starts engaging in what would assume is typical bawdy Klingon behavior. But now that you've had a word with him, you kind of get the impression that this is the front he puts up to remind his fellow Klingons that he's still one of them. But yeah, that was definitely the last thing you expected to be up front and personal with, was a scientifically curious Klingon.
Is he also now brimming with excitement, or is he? Was that up front?
Well, no, Nova definitely gets. He's enthusiastic now. He's the jealousy has gone. It's still kind of there, but now but as soon as he heard that you guys are more than willing to share your exploits, it was almost. I don't want to say childish, but it was almost a case of kind of
like.
Yeah.
I'll feed that information back to our new commander and then try and order a rector Geno if nobody stops me.
No.
Just as she's about to take a sip of the Ractigino, I think Lieutenant Commander Natala just puts her hand across the top of the mug. One's enough. So, unless there's anything else anybody wants to do.
I'm under orders.
Yep, you guys have got about 45 minutes before you have to depart the station.
I think maybe it's worth just chatting to Rainer again, just to see if he's got any. Yeah, maybe he's got some new information for us.
Was I able to get a moss sample for Bertram?
Yeah, there is a botanical garden in the middle of the Galleria of Narendra Station. So, yeah, Nova could just surreptitiously walk along and snatch one of the plants from there. Ooh, this looks pretty. Whether or not Bertram is whether or not
common moss.
None of this common stuff, thank you. Whether or not Bertram is pleasantly surprised or horrified that you've gone and picked something from the Arboretum, or the Botanical Gardens, I should say, will be up to him.
Well, Bertram's point of view is it's always good to have some control moss, especially if potentially trying to breed different variations of the blue energy moss to be able to maybe sort of tone down the energy or control it in a bit that could be useful later, with the bonus that if anyone does come after someone for stealing the moss sample, they're going to actually go to Nova. Bertram couldn't possibly have known it was stolen.
Okay.
Think of the lantern!
Yeah, so Keval motions over to your Orion friend, Rainer, the Orion pilot. Now, Mr. Edwards, you're a bit leery around Rainer because you've had dealings with Orions before. Orions are green-skinned humanoids and they have a bit of a reputation.
Being rogues, I know that much.
Yeah, pirates, rogues, and there's rumours of something called the Orion Syndicate. No one knows if it's just a rumour that some criminals use as an excuse to try and further their own reputation, or if there is an actual organised crime syndicate that actually is made up of mostly Orions. But in your past, with dealing with archaeological expeditions into some of the more unknown parts,
there'll be tomb raiders and that kind of thing.
Yeah, Orions are usually opportunistic type of people, and they are more than willing to plonk down on a planet, regardless of what the non-interference prime directive of the Federation says. These guys are more than willing to plunk themselves down on a planet and make off with anything that looks interesting if it can get them a tidy penny. So you're immediately suspicious when they call over this like space jockey Orion fella who comes over and plonks himself in the empty seat next to Commander Andrews. Hey! You got yourself a promotion, I gotta say, it looks good on you. And he gives Andrews an appraising look up and down.
I don't think Andrews and him actually met. Well, they've probably met at some point, but yeah, we went to.
Well, this was mostly, you know of him. I don't think Andrews met him personally, but it was Keval and Vibers, and I think Nova.
Yeah,
yes, that met Rainer before. In this very place. And so it's like, I hear you guys are off on travels. Needing a bit of old Rainer's advice, is it?
Well, that would always be helpful.
Okay.
At least, if it's helpful.
Only helpful if it's help you. Yeah, gotcha. Well, where you headed? If you will recall, it was the Bacchus system.
I was deliberately not saying anything.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to think what we could reasonably share.
Space.
Right up front here.
You're probably going to be venturing into the Expanse through that kind of weird, I want to say blob, that small part that's of the Federation territory that just juts up against the Expanse. That's between the Romulan neutral zone and the Klingon Empire.
And that would have been one of the earlier points of exploration.
So you can give him vague directions, yeah.
Yeah, basically, we can basically suggest we're probably going to be remapping some of the earlier explored territories and seeing if they look any different with newer technology.
Aha. Well, if you're going that kind of ways, then you're probably gonna have to go through the washboard. So good luck.
I'm sure
with
an
that.
experienced pilot like yourself will have some useful tips and tricks for another pilot like myself.
Far be it from me to say that the esteemed helmsman of the USS Navis couldn't hold his own against someone like myself, but yeah.
I mean, the washboard itself is known to be tricky.
Oh, you betcha. Let's just hope that, all I can say is, let's just hope none of your crew can get motion sick all that easy, because the washboard, that stuff can mess with you. You want my advice? As soon as you get anywhere near the washboard, you slow to impulse speeds. You want to make your heading more in the galactic east by northeast if you want to go through the least worst of it. The washboard, anything that gets near it makes your warp field compress and expand as space-time distorts around your vessel, so it'll give you the feeling that your ship is accelerating and then decelerating, swaying from side to side. It's a trip, let me tell you. You want to get through that thing without busting your warp nacelles? Slow to impulse.
Oh, it's mighty kind of you to share this with us.
Yeah.
You said it is mainly a warp compression effect.
Hey, as far as I know. I get it. So you're pumping me for information, but don't give me anything in return? Ah, you guys, you're learning too quickly.
Yeah, Andrews will
go near
point at the server droid and say, "What are you having?"
Me? Oh, Sweetums, you're too kind. I'll have what he's having, points to Keval.
Romulan ale?
Ooh, steep and heavy. I like it.
I think we established that Romulan ale here is very fake.
Simple, isn't it? Bearing in mind we are shipping out in 45 minutes, Andrews would have insisted that non-alcoholic alcohol drinks.
Yeah.
Cappuccinos all around.
So the incredibly fake Romulan ale would be perfect.
That's why I had the Carver juice rather than a Sprin wine.
I've been on the Saurian brandy. I've got my oxy pills when I get back to the ship.
You can have the Simferhole version because then it's not alcoholic.
I'll get the oxy pills when I get back.
No. Your commanding officer. Your
lady in charge.
All the fun goes.
You can't toast a promotion with Simferhole. That's bad luck.
Commander, don't make my first official duty be to reprimand my chief engineer.
Most of the bridge crew.
Most of the bridge crew. Or indeed most of the bridge crew, yes. Oh, the vegetation jokes are back.
Of course.
This again.
And yeah, Raina kind of leans in towards Andrews. Woman that takes charge. I like that. I gotta say, I do love a woman in uniform.
Non-alcoholics, Commander.
Whoa! if the jokes are going to be going along these lines, then maybe I'll take my leave of you guys. All the best with the washboard. I'll see you guys later.
Apologies, I didn't mean to leave him at a loss for words.
Oh dear God. It gets
Okay,
worse.
I'm sober now.
Puns, botany, and medical skills are the only ones I have.
It's all he's got.
I wonder if he thought that was racist, and he thought you were making green jokes because of his,
green skin.
And he doesn't know me very well.
No, he doesn't.
It's not racist, it's speciesist.
Yeah.
Still counts.
Kind of like giving the blue Romulan ale to the blue-skinned Andorian, It's like,
And frankly, I'm offended that you'd ever even consider I'd be racist like that. All people are the same, no matter what their skin colour might be. Specifically, they're below plants in the pecking order.
Yeah, I was just about to say that, Doctor.
Yes, but you didn't need to, because I had to. Now you're the first officer, you have people to say things for you.
So Doctor, when you die, are you going to donate your body to a moss bed?
Well, I was planning on just becoming compost for particularly nice fields and hope interesting things grow out of me. Something of a legacy.
There's probably carnivorous plants that'll make it go, old races go a bit quicker.
On that note, I'm going to go and start doing crew evaluation.
Bertram will say to Edwards, when we got a spare moment, you should ask me about the singularity altered energy tin moss that I discovered.
Just as Andrews is leaving, she just shouts up, "You didn't discover it, we all did."
Who was it that got the award for it?
Yeah, I got a medal right here that says I did it, damn it.
Yeah. But besides that stuff, I think it may well have helped save some of our lives in our last mission.
Respect
on my way out to the ship. Yes, Bertram, I think Edwards is definitely interested in that. You should tell him all about it.
I'm less about the biological and more about the inanimate.
Oh,
sadly.
Yes, I definitely think.
Tell him about the water.
Mineral water.
Anyway, I think I need to brush up on pretty much your ship's records on the Expanse. I dare say better than what I've had access to so far. I need to study what was going to be going on ahead of us in the Bacchus sector.
This is where you look at the records and it says, please insert records here.
So it's been nice meeting you all, but I'd like to take this opportunity to try and get ahead of things. This is going to be an interesting trip.
No, he's just printed them all out on paper and deleted electronic records because the changelings can get them.
Thank you very much, and see you at the bridge.
See you then.
Did the first officer just leave?
First officer just left.
Yeah, we are now unsupervised.
And I'm trying to find the door out.
The second officer's still here, though.
Yeah, indeed.
Or should I say crew mum?
Token name, by the way, because it says Lieutenant Natala on the token.
But yeah, literally that's what I'm actually going to be doing, cross-reference my own knowledge with now access to the ship's information banks on this particular sector.
Access.
Whereas Vipers is just go to make like a tree and leave.
I've got limited access. You're limiting my ability to perform my role.
You have been assigned as an ensign. That doesn't give you full access required to all of the ship's systems.
I didn't say that. I said the records.
Yes, again, the records. Some of the records of the Expanse might be classified.
Oh yeah, obviously. I'm not expecting to get access to classified stuff. Just either way, it's going to have more expanded than what he's already had.
Probably not, because you are on the Randra Station, which is a Federation Klingon starbase. So.
You're presuming I've been here this whole time.
You could read declassified personal logs of like some of the people on board.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what might be the most useful thing for you to be reading.
It would just be brushing up on the area that what was actually information was taken when the Lexington first basically found this M-class planet, because we've not actually been told anything about it. So see if there's actually anything more than literally what we were just the very limited amount we were told. Communication log, so providing they're not classified, anything just from back then that can be used with what he's learnt from being on the edge of the system already.
Okay. All right then. Right. So, is there any other preparatory work that anybody wants to do before they get there? Or are indeed the remainders ordering more drinks? And why is Viper's all the way up there on his own trying to get to the kitchens?
Viper's wandered out. Viper's gone.
He's after a bacon sandwich.
I've moved Viper's through the wrong door.
He's had too many drinks and gotten lost.
Didn't realise the brandy was that hard.
Bertram might actually give him what Raina was saying. Might actually take a bit of time to preparing some doses of something to basically
motion sickness.
He indicated basically motion sickness and other unpleasantness caused by turbulence and phenomenon in the washboard that Raina described.
Alrighty.
I mean, the Lexington is not an old ship, is it? It's
No, we're talking back when it was a Constitution class vessel. The Lexington itself has since been...
Yeah, the current Lexington is a nebula, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right there. I'm pretty sure you're right there. What am I saying? I can check right now.
Yeah, 30405 is the nebula class.
You are God for this setting at this point. It must be true.
I am the Q. No, I'm not anyway stylish enough to be Q.
Give it time.
Anywho's, nothing else? Okay, let's... well, you know. The guys can stay behind and enjoy themselves for a bit longer. But otherwise, I'm going to assume that everyone eventually makes their way back to the ship.
Basically, has the Federation regularly travelled through here en route to other things, or is this seriously like the most recent time that a Federation ship was seriously exploring this area was original series?
It was around about most of the 23rd century, yeah. I mean, if you can get a basic shunt of information just by looking it up. One of the first, after the Lexington's after the Lexington went this way during the 5-year mission in the 23rd century, another ship also entered the Expanse around about the year 2308, which was the USS Umbra, a Miranda-class vessel. The scale and danger of the washboard effect was at that point still unknown, and the Umbra apparently did not slow its warp velocity when it detected a Class M world, and logs show that the vessel turned towards the system and it began cutting against the gravimetric shear of the washboard and suffered immediate catastrophic damage to its warp nacelles. It forced the vessel to drop out of warp about half of a light year from the planet, with most of its power systems burnt out. They managed to drift under low impulse for about 1.5 standard years. The survivors of the Umbra made planetfall on a world they called Finally, became unwillingly some of the first Federation colonists in the Expanse. The world of Finally is now used as a waypoint and for shore leave. The descendants of Umbra having built a small Starfleet outpost on the shores of Lake Here's Fine.
Next to the sea of F this noise.
Yeah, that was the mountain range that was nearby. So, yeah, the Lexington came in accidentally to the Bacchus system, turned around and left. And then the Umbra kind of went in and never left.
Alright, so they didn't actually get much of a scan. They just worked out something was here, then left. So literally is nothing. Oh, that's disappointing.
Let's actually change the ambience then. That's the bridge night shift. Where's the bridge day shift? There we go. It's not too loud, is it?
Little loud.
We can just adjust it on the thing.
Yeah,
to be honest.
That's good.
Okay. So, yep. Quarters are called so that everyone gets summoned back to the ship. Everyone takes their assigned posts. And, yeah, before everyone leaves, the captain calls Mr. Edwards to her ready room. At which point she asks him to sit down across from her, behind her, as she's sat behind her desk. Mr. Edwards, I am aware that you're not an official Starfleet officer in any way, shape, or form. You have been unceremoniously inserted into the command structure here. I don't blame you in any way, shape, or form. It would have been nice, however, if Dr. Taliaferro had given us a proper forewarning, but it is what it is. So as you well know, you currently hold a provisional rank of ensign. For the moment, I will allow you a certain amount of leeway because you are not familiar with Starfleet operating protocols. Now, your background and references are all very impressive. As such, I have placed you primarily under the auspices of the scientific department, so your immediate departmental superior will be Lieutenant Commander Natala. Anything scientific that you need to report, you report to Natala first. However, your xenolinguistic skills also give you cause for us to give you the bridge position of communications officer. So that's the position you will occupy on the bridge. The communication station will be open to you for use. Now, you are technically, besides our mess hall barman, the lowest ranked member on this ship. So, I expect you to address everybody as Sir.
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Now, you're a smart guy. Your references say this, so I am expecting great things from you, Mr. Edwards. But I expect you to apply yourself to what you're doing. We'll see exactly how good you are. I expect the best in order to get the best performance out of everybody. So, report to your station as Communications Officer, Mr. Edwards. Your evaluation begins now.
Thank you, sir.
You are dismissed.
And leaves.
Yep. And you take your position. You are aware that everyone is kind of giving you sideways looks. But...
as expected.
Yes, as expected.
Not quite a Wesley position, but well.
Yeah, exactly. But in a similar fashion.
Yeah, you've been given the role of acting ensign. You are in the same position of Wesley
Yeah.
Crusher.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so dirty.
It's okay. In a few decades, you could become a beloved geek culture icon.
Can I check his surface thoughts to see how much trouble he got into?
You'd still be banned from playing in Picard.
How reprimanded are you feeling, Alex?
Go on then, Alex. How reprimanded is Jonathan Edwards feeling?
Confident, but he's more cautious about the crew considering how awkward drinks were than anything else. He's more eager to get on with it, cautious about generally because he's not much of a social person.
What was that, Jan?
The drinks were only awkward because they were non-alcoholic. Glares at the XO.
You really need yourself to a new crew.
Yeah, the XO is definitely feeling uncomfortable in this position she's in. It's an odd experience.
The captain exits her ready room and sits back in the command chair. Very well. Let's get underway.
Yeah, once the captain sits down, I'll sit down.
So, Helm, exits. It's time for us to make our exits. Comms. Request leave to leave the station, if you please. I'd expect no roll for this. So Edwards makes contact with docking control, and it's as basic and formal as you might imagine. This is the USS Navis requesting permission to leave the station. You are given permission, and it then falls to the Helm officer to pilot the ship out of the dock. Whether or not Keval ascribes himself to the Kirk method of leaving space dock at quarter impulse power rather than thrust speed.
Just hits warp before he's even out of the space station.
The doors aren't even open. Oh, warp!
Whatever gets us out of here fastest.
Whatever gets out of here fastest. So yeah.
Oh god, he's the Sonic the Hedgehog. Go fast.
Warp engines standing by. Yes, indeed. So yes, engineering reports. Warp power is available. Secondary reactors are online. Everything's ready, and I won't even ask for Keval to expertly pilot us out. The captain knows exactly how good he is.
Go on.
This doesn't want to give us the momentum. That's what it is.
Oh, go on then.
See if there's a complication coming out for the first time.
Yeah, he does actually exit turn warp on.
So we just scrape one of the nacelles down the door.
So this becomes
that is what happened when he did. Shouldn't have people do the Kirk method. It's got these massive scratches down either side of the gateway.
As the docking bay doors are opening, the space dock doors are opening. Yes, this becomes is Keval going to go half impulse power out of the dock, or is he going thruster power out of the dock?
Whatever is faster.
Well, the impulse power.
Quarter impulse. Jesus.
All right then. So rather than using control plus con, I'm going to ask you to go daring plus con, because this is a seat of your pants type maneuver, and this is going to be aided by the ship giving you. Let me see. This is going to be engines and con. So whoever wants to be the ship to aid him. Alex,
Mr. Edwards, please advise that target to get out of our way.
How do I roll for the ship, or do I just roll?
So what you do, Alex, is if you go into the actors directory, if you know where that is, you should find a folder, USS Navis crew and ships. There's a subfolder of ships, and you should find the USS Navis there.
There are two.
There's a copy, yes. The copy I use for testing things. Testing encounters and the like. So you want the non-copy. That should give you the ship's character sheet. Mm-hmm. So you want to select in systems, engines, and in departments you want con. When you click perform task, you don't want to roll 2 dice, you want to bring it down to 1 number of dice in pool. So you bring the slide rule down so it's only 1, because the ship is aiding. When you aid someone else's roll, you only roll 1 dice. So this is going to be the ship's engines and con aiding Keval's daring plus con. So Alex, feel free to roll 1 dice and see what we get. 4 successes for the helmsman and no successes for the Navis, so it's all down to to your chief helmsman's skill, and boy does he have the skill. It was going to be a challenge rating, a 2 success job, and he went over and above and earned you 2 momentum.
Hey, we can ask a question. Does he do a barrel roll coming out?
Well, what Keval basically does is you have to reverse out. So he reverses at impulse power, and as soon as the ship clears the doors, he does a 180 spin, and then
It's
just
like a
powers
reverse
out of the
Thunderbird.
system.
I mean, I think probably a 540 spin.
Squeak!
I just thought he hits the warp in reverse.
Actually,
An
that's
80
not a
kick
bad
flip. Oh my
thing.
god.
Yeah, Keval
reverse
has
it
a
in
really
warp
big.
up.
Keval has a really big self-satisfied grin because he saw how the newcomer kind of gripped onto his console as he felt the ship accelerating out of the dock.
It's always good for the space station to see how us flyboys do things.
Yeah. Communications officer, you may be getting a few angry communications now from the space dock control. But yes, the captain doesn't say anything. She just kind of grins to herself, and then gives you the coordinates for the Bacchus system and orders warp speed. So, since you've gone and basically earned 2 momentum just from that little piloting maneuver, I'm not asking for any more, as you head into warp. So off we go.
I assume the captain is familiar with the washboard and the difficulties of the washboard.
Well, you can hope so, don't you? But yes, one would imagine that after learning about it, you guys, I would hope, have certainly let the captain know.
Yes.
About the potential difficulties. But yes, she's aware that there are gravitational and spatial anomalies within the Shackleton Expanse, but knowing that you guys have had forewarning of a specific one makes her job a lot easier. So the ship speeds off into warp. So into warp. So the doctor, what was that? The doctor arranges to have the medical check done on himself as he's in the best place to do so.
I'm playing an intricate game of psychological chess with Nova.
Make security note to have the change. Oh, right, I see. Sorry. I almost didn't get the joke there.
Yeah, Nova's kind of picking up on Andrew's anxiousness of being sat in the command chair. Bertram's manipulation tactics. She's going to be all over the place on this flipping mission.
Then there was the
Edwards
momentary
kind of
nerves from Mr. Edwards, and the self-satisfaction, and the self-satisfaction oozing off of Keval Fazanan.
Yeah, I think also the captain's going to be enjoying it from kind of like making him call everyone sir as well.
Yeah. So she picked up on the fact that the doctor was being overly polite, which didn't seem natural, so she's decided that he might be a changeling with all the paranoia. He's just played on it since.
Okay.
Foolish solids.
Directly it's just like, I really missed the night shift.
Yeah, at some point we'll find them.
So, one of the first things we have to do is one of the first things you have to pass through, which is something known as the endurance divide. This is like a nebula that strings itself along the border of the Shackleton Expanse before it meets the Federation space. So, it's a Class 3 nebula, which means that engines, sensors, and weapons all have their average difficulties increased by 3. Entering the divide, gonna have to have an engines plus con roll at difficulty 4 from the helmsman and assisted by the engineer, or the engineer assisted by the helmsman. Probably makes more sense. Difficulty 4. So
okay. And this was 12 plus engineering?
Engines plus con.
I have pushed the limits, which means if I attempt a con task with increased difficulty due to environmental conditions or damage, I reduce difficulty by 1.
So Keval would make sense to be the lead on this, reducing the difficulty down to 3. Yep. Awesome.
Was that control and con?
So that's engines and con. Your Keval's astronavigation focus.
Well, engines are a ship.
Yeah, we don't have engines.
So control and con?
Oh, beg your pardon. So yeah, for engines and con. So it's gonna be Starship must make an unassisted engines plus con, but I'm gonna make it. I read that wrong. My fault. But control plus con definitely for Keval, and for Vibers, let's think. It's probably going to be more like you're aiding with
insight plus engineering.
I'll go with that.
An eye on things and tweaking stuff as we go.
Because this has to do with power output as well, I'm going to allow you to include your power systems and EPS systems focuses.
Haha.
And because of Keval, the difficulty of it is 3 successes, so someone else can be the ship. Not that it's needed. Alrighty then. Crew are experts at navigating this nebula as such.
I don't know what the issue is here.
Me neither. There's not a single problem. This whole engine room's purring.
So, ordinarily... Yeah, blimey. Ordinarily, the endurance divide is something that, because the ship is meeting a lot of particulate matter, it can cause a drag which can make the ship have to expend an awful lot of power getting through the nebula. But you guys, you got through that perfectly.
That's because they only make it work to the 2nd harmonic. We go to the 4th. It's fine.
So you managed the engine output and the directionality. You steered it. Oh, it was all beautifully done. So, allowing yourselves to go to full warp for a little bit, and then sometime later you start coming upon the area known as the washboard. And that's when the captain asks for the ship to be dropped out of warp temporarily. And, yeah, so... Let's see, you've navigated really well through all of this. So, I'm going to posit that you've managed to, as well as getting the advice from Raina, you've probably knocked the washboard will drain power from the ship because you feel like you're stopping and starting all the time. So, you're getting this rocking, swaying kind of effect going. So, Alex, once again, if you could open up the Navis. And if you could be so kind as to take 2 points of power out of the power rating of the ship, because it would have taken a good bit of engine power and overall power from the ship to get through the washboard. But you... Go on, sorry. Nope. Okay, cool. I am going to ask for a control plus con of difficulty 1 due to your ability from the helmsman, please. This can be assisted by the engines plus con of the ship. Since Alex, you had it open, you may as well help with that.
Sorry, that was what and con?
That was control and con. Your usual shebang.
And what did you say was mine? Engines and con.
Engines and con for the ship. Since you're assisting, again, only 1 dice. Keval, you definitely get a focus. This is navigating the grabometric anomaly. I expect it's only like difficulty, what did I say, 1? Because of your expertise.
Oh. Did John already roll it?
No, I did it for the last one.
Alright.
So, Jan, if you can give us Keval's piloting role?
Should be there unless something went wrong. Oh,
I believe something went wrong.
It didn't get here. It didn't get to me, I'm afraid. Try it again. And tell me when you've sent it.
I got logged out of Forge.
Ooh. Well, that was rude of it. It hasn't logged you out according to my reading, but then I might be getting a delayed version. Oh dear.
I can't get back in because I'm already in.
Oh, right, you're already in. In that case, I'm going to have to stop the server and restart it, so everybody's going to get logged out, I am afraid. So let me log out first.
I can't log in as Game Master.
You don't have my password. I hope.
Is it password?
No. I'm going to stop the server so it might kick you all.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to start the server again. And then I'm going to launch the game. Yeah, sometimes it disconnects you but doesn't have the good sense to lose your session, so it sometimes thinks that you're still logged in. Because it finds a previous session and thinks that's yours. Hopefully this will fix it.
The other one you get is when it logs you out of Forge but not the game, so the game still works but none of your icons load.
Okay, I'm back in. Alex,
Back
Davis, Jan, all back in. Somehow the captain disappeared again. That tends
Chair is
to
vacant.
tends to happen when people just suddenly click on things. People get transported to engineering for some reason. Usually NPCs.
Probably Vibe was taking everybody with him. He had everyone selected when he logged in and clicked the door.
Not deny anything.
Anything. It didn't do the captain. She has disappeared. Andrews, I didn't know you were that career thirsty. Oh, career-minded. There
she is.
Phil's next.
Okay, and we got 2 successes from Keval, which is 1 over what you needed, so we've earned extra momentum. So Keval, the washboard is interesting, but and it's very bumpy. So, but you managed to navigate them expertly through it. Walk in the park.
So, Doctor, we might not need those nausea suppression medication after all.
Your services will no longer be required.
That's if it was nausea medication. I'm on to you, Doctor.
Don't worry. Everything will be fine. It's not like you've already doomed yourself by the moss that you gave me so unwisely.
Okay. So, your ship is able to jump back into warp as soon as you clear the washboard and resume on its course. So, pardon me. As you're on your way, is there any preparatory stuff you would like to do, or are you just going to wait till you get to the Bacchus system and see what you find? Wait till we get to the Bacchus system and see what we find. Okay.
I guess.
It's just
I think we'll be doing long-range scans of the area.
Yeah. So, this would be a good opportunity for me to get Edwards to give me a check. So, this will be a control plus science check from Mr. Jonathan Edwards, assisted by the ship's, let me think, it's probably going to be sensors and science. So someone else can be the ship. Any volunteers? 1, 2, 3. Jan, you can be the ship.
Purpose of the check for focus supply?
Let me see. Your focuses. Not currently, no. This is like a standard communications check.
Alex's character is more private than the rest of us. We can see one another's skills, but we can't see his.
Suspicious.
He's a changeling.
He's a changeling. Yeah, you definitely earn 1 extra momentum from that success. Yes, there are strange radio waves emitting from the Bacchus system that you're now detecting. The nature of them is difficult to define. Definitely seems to suggest some kind of energy sources emitting radio waves out into space. But at the moment, all you're getting is garbled bunch of nothing, really. It's just
so no any organic kind of sounds, like attempted words, or is it literally just noise?
With that many successes, it's definitely noise that suggests it suggests the radio waves are some kind. It's like an interference wave given off by a massive power source. So it doesn't appear to be anyone trying to actively communicate, as far as you're able to tell. It appears to be noise in space, basically, but definitely emanating from the Bacchus system. And you are now approaching the Bacchus system. So, the captain asks for the ship to be taken out of warp.
Aye, aye, Captain.
The ship starts to power down out of warp, and just as the captain is about to ask for scans, all of a sudden, if I can just find my sound effects, there is a massive impact as the ship rocks. And hopefully, the ship did just rock.
Yes.
It worked!
Never learned to go to places in yellow alert.
Well, everyone holds still as all of a sudden the power goes out in the ship.
Not on my ship, not with my engines. What the hell is going on now?
So, the ship immediately loses power. Where am I going? I am going to the bridge, and the lights go out, and you're on emergency power only. The ship is suffering violent rocks, and just as you're about to recover from that, the ship, rather than rocks with impact, this time lurches violently forwards, meaning that the captain and the first officer are thrown from their seats, and everyone else is propelled into their consoles. So,
a bunch of us have the trait, the talent. I know my ship. I think about half the crew has that. For detecting where damage is coming from.
Okay, so determine the source of technical problems with your ship. Well, you've got tricorders.
Yeah.
I can make that a control plus science check for anybody who wants to use a tricorder to see what happens as the captain just screams, "Report!"
Just checking every station.
Okay.
You are getting nothing from your station. It's just a black pad. It's just a black console now.
Just purely from a tricorder, I give an accurate damage report.
Right, 3 successes on that attempt. Sorry, Gareth, were you going to say something?
I say, because was Bertram asked to be on the bridge? Because I've always gone with that unless he's actually asked to be on the bridge for any reason, or he has a reason to be there, by default he's normally in sickbay.
You can certainly be in sickbay. I usually just keep Bertram's token on the bridge so you can still see what's going on.
That's cool. In that case, he's going to be sort of like making whatever preparations he can without power in case there are any injuries coming in.
Okay, fine. Yes, because you know, even in sickbay, you feel the rocking and everything goes out.
Yeah.
I can't fly. It's not moving. Well, it's funny you say that because Vibers will get to you in a minute. The captain basically smacks her communicator badge and goes, "Engineering! What's gone on?" And as she slaps it, there's nothing. And she's just basically slapping her comm badge, going, "Engineering, please respond!" And communications, everything's down throughout the ship. Natala opens up her tricorder, because at least they're independent of the ship systems, and starts scanning. What Natala finds is that there are no power readings throughout the ship. But your ship currently has forward momentum that seems to be accelerating, and there's evidence of a gravitational field. That
I think
the
they're
ship is
basically being dragged in, potentially by some intentional force.
Can we attempt to force open the Basai collectors? Because at least that will vent hydrogen forwards, which should slow us down.
Ooh. Okay. How are you going to communicate that to engineering?
Nova's going to jump into one of the tunnels and go down there herself.
I think it's going to be a case of we have to try and get...
Okay.
Given that we know that the ship's taken damage, have EVA ready in case, and be prepared to back up and use it.
Okay. I believe EVA storage is not far from the bridge, actually. On an Akira class, behind the bridge, there's to one side there's usually a small mess hall, mostly for bridge crew. On the other side, there's the captain's office, or the ready room, as it's called. The top 2 doors usually lead to where you can go to the conference room. But beyond that conference room, there's also, if I remember the schematics, there's like an emergency space exit. As such, there's usually a bay for EVA suits to be stored near the bridge.
Matt, how far down is the nearest shuttle hangar?
The shuttle hangar of an Akira-class starship actually comprises of an entire length of a deck. They are... Ooh, that is a good question.
About deck
Just
10?
Just using unconventional
I had
thinking.
it somewhere.
So far, the things we have on us still have power, but this just...
Yeah, so again, like the tricorder, they should be isolated.
Exactly. So we could use scanners
power.
if we could use scanners of a shuttle, check the system, see what's going on. Worst case scenario, we might even use power sources from the shuttle to try and jumpstart the ship, depending how far away it is from the shuttle.
We've got auxiliary power at least for life support.
I made
they
a
run
note.
on batteries. The battery system's separate.
He said there was no power readings at all, so that's what I made a note of. So if there's no power reading at all, we've got nothing. No life support, nothing.
Those are theoretical. I just think shuttle might be the best way, at least to identify with worst case scenario, to provide some juice to the main ship.
Well, when we get to that stage, absolutely, but I don't think we're there yet.
Matt, to confirm, are the emergency right? So obviously, what you said initially was that we're on batteries, but then what you said then was with the energy readings is that there's nothing on the ship, which suggests that the batteries are out. So
good point.
Are they out?
You've got enough
we're on battery power.
You are on emergency battery power, which prioritizes life support.
So
And light.
immediately dive into a Jeffrey's tube and go for life support.
The only other system that's prioritised slightly above life support is antimatter containment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, the main reason, as well as the power being out, do I detect any massive hull breaches or anything that would suggest?
Not currently.
No. But basically, there's very little protecting us from anything that might cause such thing.
Yeah, so I think sending Natala and Nova down to try and get the main computer back online to get power and support engineering will be the wisest option. Whilst we can attempt to try and patch comms from the, transfer power from the emergency batteries to the comm system on the bridge, see if we can get comms back up with engineering.
I'll allow that.
Natala and Nova will use their infiltration knowledge to get her and Natala there as quickly as possible as well. Any
cool.
shortcut
I'm good with that.
She can possibly find.
Nova with an extremely knowledgeable map of the Jeffries tubes in her head, comparable to that of Chief Engineer Vibers himself, knows precisely where to go. The bridge of an Akira-class starship has the advantage of also being like an emergency lifeboat in times of great emergency. So it will have a degree of its own backup power system ready to be employed. So you can definitely try and use that to shunt some power to communications. So let's see. This is gonna be. I'm going to ask for. This is a bit of a daring move because it's a bit of a seat of your pants type of thing. So I'm going to ask for daring plus engineering, and I'm going to allow Nova's tinkering, technology or experimentation focus. And I think Natala's going to have to concede that Nova might be the lead on this.
Yeah, I'm absolutely just assisting on this. Safety protocols are a possibility, but
yeah, okay, yeah, you can tell it. Don't crosswire that one for God's sake.
Yeah.
So yours will be equally a daring plus engineering assist. I'm gonna make it difficulty. Ooh, let's see. Well,
thankfully, parent figure is in. You don't even need them. You can just re-roll that one for free.
You can re-roll that 20 for free, so feel free to re-roll one dice, and we'll consider it that 20. Okay. So the good news is it's not a complication. You didn't blow the power. Bad news is.
Do you want to spend a momentum to re-roll that?
Do you want to spend a momentum to re-roll it? All right then. Spending a momentum. Re-roll the results again then.
Both, I think, on a momentum.
If you want to re-roll both, then fine. Re-roll both. I'll go with that for now. Since your last one was a freebie, thanks to Natala's abilities. 2 successes, which meant you got that momentum back. All right then. So you do patch some of the emergency power through to comms. So. Edwards, your panel kind of stutters into a half-life.
Okay.
So...
Try to reroute communications to the engineering and link it directly to the captain so she can get a first-hand report.
Okay, cool. That will be... I'll make that a control plus science. This will now be aided by the ship. Hang on a second.
Ooh.
Can't get you anything at the moment, I'm afraid. This will be aided by the ship.
Check your talents. Always see if there's any rerolls or ignore things on your talents.
No.
Communications plus engineering from the from the ship.
I do not have any rerolls on my talents for that.
So whoever wants to go as the ship.
So communications plus...
Gareth.
Engineering.
Yep.
Oh, never mind.
Ship's
You've
not
already
helping.
done it. So,
let's re-roll the Edwards. Because we're not blowing out the comms relay.
We could just do that meanwhile in engineering.
So is it losing another momentum, is it? Or just lose
just
one?
done that. So, where underneath where it says you've... there was a complication and one success, there's a yellow button that says re-roll results.
One dice or both?
Just one, because you got a success on the other one.
Okay, yep, so just roll one dice. One success! Cool beans. So, one success from the no successes from the ship, 2 successes from you. I'll say that was 1 over what you needed. So, yep, you're able to patch communications directly to engineering.
Quickly, untapped potential. This is whenever I buy an additional dice or momentum, or does this count as a reroll? I may make a challenge.
That's a reroll.
That was
additional dice is before you roll. Say I'm going to roll 4 dice instead of 2 and spend.
I'll keep that in mind for next time.
But your untapped potential would have meant that you would have rolled a challenge dice, which is essentially a 6-sided dice. And if you'd have rolled a 5 or a 6, you would have gained an extra momentum on top of what you earned, I think. Yeah. But since you're at maximum anyway, you wouldn't have gotten the benefit of that. But that's something definitely to keep in mind for, next time. So, yes, Edwards is able to report that a communication line has been opened with engineering, at which point the captain basically screams, "Engineering, we need power!" So now we cut to the engine room.
Previously in the engine room.
So what I'm going to ask is that at the moment everyone is kind of zapping about everywhere. So I am going to ask for a presence plus command check from Vibers to try and get your crew working in tandem with a difficulty of 1. Two successes, you got 1 over and above what you needed. Awesome.
Chiefs, get your teams in order. We've done this before with the Pride of Starfleet. Get your asses moving. I need a full status report now.
Right, so you need to restore power.
Yep.
So, first thing you need is to find out what's actually happened. So, I need you to get me a reason plus engineering task. With a difficulty of 1, please, Chief.
Okay, power
let me see.
I've got power systems in my focus list.
And warp field dynamics, so yeah, I'll allow you a focus on that. This is diagnosing a problem with the ship, so it's not going to be... Oh, blimey. Well, over and above, once again. Crikey. Alright then, so... something has basically interfered with the power systems of the whole ship to the point where it sucked the juice out of the ship. Almost entirely. If it wasn't for the fact that the backup system for maintaining life support in a crisis and gaining a small amount of light to the decks, if that wasn't a backup system and usually inert until the point of activation, that would have gone out too. So the warp drive just basically shut down because all matter, antimatter, whatever was just drawn out of the ship. What was that, sorry? Somebody was talking over me then. Oh.
I think that was an echo.
Was it an echo?
I think there might have been a bit of yarn, or...
Yeah. We just lost power in my city, but I'm on a laptop and my router is on a UPS, so I think I'll be alright.
Just like what happened with the ship. Wow.
Right. First order is Bravo. You're on antimatter containment. I want you to make sure that system's fine and we don't blow ourselves up when the batteries run out. Right, rest of you, you're with me. We need to get some sort of power from this ship.
So yeah, this is going to be. I'll allow you reason plus engineering with your focus in power systems. I usually make this a difficulty 3, but because you have the advantage of engineering teams, I'm going to lower that to a difficulty of 2.
Right, so that's reason and engineering, was that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Anything you got here? Starship expert, routine.
If this goes, I'm going to...
3 successes. My god.
Okay, team. We're gonna try and bump starter.
Which you basically do, and you restart the matter-antimatter process.
While they're coming down to go and tell me that we've got this great plan involving the buzzard collectors, what happens is they get down, and it's like, yes, I've already done that.
Yeah. So power starts definitely coming back on.
Oh, there's a comm coming in from the bridge.
Yep. And yeah, you get the captain screaming at you that the ship needs power.
Systems coming back online now, sir.
Yeah,
so
can we relay the fact that we're accelerating? So we need to bring the ship to a stop as well.
Alrighty. I'm gonna bring the lights back up here on the Navis.
Did anyone else get booted from the game, by the way?
Not
I don't think so.
So far.
I'm still in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm having
so-
real trouble reloading now.
Okay. Oh, and the captains and all the NPCs have disappeared again.
Sorry.
Wonder why that happens
I know
every
what's
time.
happened to that.
That's
No,
weird.
I-
'Cause yeah, it must have
I
reloaded.
know why
and I didn't
that's
notice.
happening, sorry.
Why?
It's so
I
weird.
clicked on the, it happens when a certain person goes and clicks on the go to engineering
I see. So, where was I? You're trying to leverage power back up. Okay, so we need you to bring power back to the ship. I'm looking in entirely the wrong place. Somebody needs to perform the action to restore power. So, minor actions and tasks. Raise lower shield is not it. So someone with internal systems. Power management.
Inner workings.
Yes, so anyone with internal systems needs to attempt the power management action to try and bring power enough back to the ship to start reactivating the engines. So
I'm guessing Natala's still there with Nova, so can probably be assisting.
Yep, so that's a daring or control plus engineering with a difficulty of 2, which can succeed at cost. So whoever wants to attempt that.
Nova, do you want to assist me on that one?
Since you've got communications back up, yeah, you can totally assist.
Can do.
Up to
I
2
was
can
going to do it
assist.
because I've got a focus, but I guess you have as well.
Yep,
So.
you've got a focus. I've got a focus. Put them together and fix the problem.
So that's 1 success, that's 2 successes, so you've got what you needed. If Natala is aiding as well, she might be able to give you 1 over what you need. Yes, you can get 1 over what you need. Now, when you succeed at a power management, you gain 1 point of power, plus an additional point of power per momentum spent, and you can keep repeating that, which may exceed the normal maximum. So,
I think Nova has a power to do with that as well.
yes, so between Natala getting an extra, so you earned 1 point of power, you've already got maximum, so Natala's extra point can go towards, extra point of momentum can go towards another point of power going in. And what was Nova's talent again?
have a little more power, but that's only for spent power, which I don't think we've spent any. It's just been ripped from us.
Yes, this is gaining power back.
Yeah.
So you've got 2 power currently. Do you want to spend momentum to add any more power to the ship?
I think so.
What do the rest of you think?
How much power does it take to get to basically red alert status?
Well, if you're going to try and use the engines to steer the ship, that's going to take a point of power.
Yeah.
Maybe 2, depending on how much of a resistance there is.
And how much would it take to bring the shields up?
That's another point of power there.
Can we just go for a full on like 3 or 4?
Or how much can a shield cushion if we're about to collide into a planet?
Well, if there's debris in space or anything else in orbit.
I think we go for a full on like 3 or 4 extra, because that gives us like 5 or 6 power, and then we can just try and regain power as we spend it.
The deflector is the one that actually pushes debris out of the way, not the shields.
So just from that check and attempt, you've gained 2 power. So how much extra momentum do you want to spend to gain extra power?
So basically, we've got maneuvering, deflectors, shields. Is there anything else we want?
Sensors.
Propulsion. Would that be part of maneuvering?
I think we go for 4. So we've got backup power.
It's quite a spend, but I think
it is. But
because we might suddenly be in a situation where we want any or all of those things.
Yeah.
So the only thing we won't have online.
Yeah.
All right.
The only thing we.
Well, who's tinkering with the momentum?
Sorry.
Oh, that means you can do it. That's interesting.
None of the rest of us can. You've got
I can. It's letting me do it now.
Okay.
Weird. Okay, cool. Now I know you can do it. That's.
I presume that was for everyone, so not just you. So I was doing it to save you doing it.
All right. So with everybody's help, there's a audible thrum of power that starts coursing through the ship. The warp core, of course, is already starting to beat like a massive heart, and Vibers' team is now starting to is bringing up the secondary reactors. Everything's coming back online. Power now needs to be shunted to where you want it to go.
I assume in this situation, on the deck, on the bridge, is Faznan still in his command, but Natala and Nova are not in
on our way back in a Jeffrey's tube.
Yeah.
Yeah, so at the minute I'd assume that Andres is probably kind of jumped across to the ops position.
Yeah, that's fine. So what system do you want to bring up first?
I think engines first. The fact that we are accelerating towards the planet.
Okay then, in that case...
We want to try and decelerate as much as possible if we are going to impact.
Right, so using a point of power from the ship to bring its engines up, and I'm going to need a control plus con task from the helmsman, difficulty of 2, to try and see if we can pull the ship up from its descent towards whatever gravitational field it's being brought into. This can be aided by the... Sorry, go on.
Do I get my push the limits reduction in difficulty for environmental effects or damage?
It's not an environmental effect as such, and it's not damage. So I'm gonna go with a no, but you still get your focuses of Helm operation. Anybody who wants to be the ship... Sorry, I've cut someone else off there, but that's going to be engines and con for ship, yes. Sorry, what was someone going to say then?
That was literally my question.
Okay, so 1 success and 2 successes. I said it was a 2, so you've gained 1 momentum there. So, yeah. Keval, Keval's console comes alight again as navigation and engine control is put back to under your purview, and you get readings back that yes, you're being pulled towards something, and you start to rev back on the engines to try and pull back from wherever you're being dragged off to. There's a certain amount of resonation through the hull, as obviously you're fighting something, but you do manage to successfully stop the forward momentum of the ship. Nicely done. What's next? Probably the next thing you want to do is get... Go on, sorry?
I'd say shields.
Shields?
Shields back online, then scanners.
Raising shields is easy enough, but it takes a point of power, but that raises the shields to full power. So the Navis is now back up to its full shield capacity, using up a point of that power that you've just generated. Next is going to be a reason plus science check from basically sensors.
Yay, that's me currently on sensors. Woo!
So the ship will aid with
Andrew's
sensors plus
reason
science.
Well, you could wait like 2 minutes.
He comes over the comms. He's like,
I haven't actually rolled this evening, so I would like to roll at some point. Survival at any cost? Focused?
On just using sensors to see what's out there? I'm not sure I can justify that.
Okay, who's taking the ship?
Plus survival at any cost would be using your valley, which would be using a point of determination. So, anybody else? Gareth, you haven't got a chance to use the ship yet. Can you get the ship to aid in that task using sensors plus science, please?
Sensors plus science. Nope,
No successes. So, at the moment, you're currently blind. Sensors are coming back online slowly. What you do get is that currently there's no evidence of any breaches in the hull or any of the other systems in the ship. So the ship is currently okay. It's just that something's going on.
Out of interest, do I gain the exo talent, by the way, or do I have to buy that?
You have to acquire that exo talent.
Okay.
Natala and Nova, you've probably scurried your way in from a Jeffrey's tube at this point. Vibers, back in engineering, anything you want to attempt?
I'd like to use the main core to try and get the secondary up and going, so we've got a bit more power.
Okay, so this is essentially another power management, whatever. So I'm going to allow you to do daring or control, your choice, plus engineering. Difficulty of 2.
I assist him with that, with keeping non-essential systems out of the running loop, just to give him that a bit of a boost.
Coordinating with there, and I have an engineering team. That's a reroll, right?
The engineering team gives you an advantage and lowers the difficulty. It doesn't stop. It doesn't give you an automatic reroll.
Ah, damn it.
So you've got. What did I say was difficulty? Difficulty 2. You have
3 successes and a complication. I'll take it.
So you do gain an extra momentum in and of itself, but as you... So you're trying to gain a point of power. I am going to say that as you shunt additional power through the systems in order to get an additional bit of juice, I am going to be rather sneaky. And I am going to roll randomly to see which ship system got an accidental overload and suffered a breach.
Please don't be engines.
Communications!
Hey!
Oh dear.
Console explodes.
Fine.
Jonathan Edwards is instantly killed.
Internal
Yeah.
comms
Oh,
are
wow.
working perfectly fine.
Re-roll the science off at the top.
Edwards, yeah, I'm afraid your console does give off a spark and a bang as from the where the wires are underneath your console, near where your legs are, there's a spark and a bang that goes off.
Wrong person, fair enough.
Yeah, the point.
Comms down.
On that note, can I use a little more power and use the momentum that we gained to give us an extra point of power?
Alrighty.
Nobody's opposed.
So the unfortunately, the communications array has suffered a bit of damage. As a result, starship damage, communications. So communications are now disrupted temporarily. Someone is going to have to use the minor restore action in order to get them
How do I do
back
that one?
up and running. So a
As I'm
restore action. Let me see. General minor actions and tasks. Restore action needs to report a system of disruptions and circumstances will call for this. Natala, let's see. This is going to be reason plus engineering, I think. Try and see if you can perform that minor action. Difficulty 1 to bring it back.
Yeah.
It still suffered a breach,
possible.
but just to restore the system. What was that? Sorry, I didn't catch you.
Safety protocols, maybe?
As a focus, definitely, yep. I can go with
I
that.
want to see if I can aid while working on this con. What do you say it was again?
Insight plus engineering.
Task.
Wow. 2 momentum gains so far. Let's see if he can gain you another one. Yeah. You have gone from 2 momentum to maximum momentum once again in a short space of time. Wow.
Ah, good. They found the circuit breaker lever.
So
Found the
rerouting.
fuse box and replaced it.
So power comes back, but then blows out some of the communication relays. But Nova, using her power management, is able to reroute power around a few damaged systems. Communication system in order to keep power flowing nicely. And Natala and Edwards managed to get the communication system back up, but it still suffered a single breach to that system.
Secondary reactors back online.
Yep, secondary reactors are up and thrumming nicely. So,
We really need sensors.
the next thing you can attempt is someone can give me a reason plus science task in order to try and determine what's actually going on with the ship.
Is this a finding where the damage technical problem is with the ship? That's being an ship.
I'm thinking more towards looking outside to see if you can determine what's actually caused this.
With the assistance of sensors or computers?
I can go with the assistance of sensors and computers, definitely.
Cool. I'll take the lead on that one then.
The assistance of the bartender looking out the window as well.
So, like I said, this is difficulty
Nice.
2.
Damn.
Good lordy
Well, we have a
lords.
science officer.
Someone wants to roll for the ship. If Gareth
don't
wants
think
to-
you need to at this
and
point.
if the ship fails, it gets a free reroll for my technical expertise.
Do you want me to roll for the ship?
Sure.
Might as well. You're wounded aren't keeping you busy enough.
Was it the same thing as before? So
Sensors of science. That'll do.
Yeah.
With a free reroll from technical expertise.
Technical expertise, reroll it.
Okay. Oh, another complication now.
Will it be
That's all
another
you get from
20?
Gareth involved.
Oi! There we go. So another success over and above. Right, you get external sensors back online, which the captain asks for you to bring up on the view screen. So, what you see is, let me see, blah, 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 blah.
Natala's not obsessed with winning, she just doesn't like to lose.
On the main viewer, you can see a planet really, really close, which you imagine is, which you put together quite easily as the source of the gravitational wave that's been drawing you in. So, and there's some sort of strange coloured beam coming from the planet's surface that has now enveloped your ship. According to the sensor scans you've just got, this beam appears to be scanning you, but has got such a power behind it that as soon as it scanned your ship, it knocked out everything. It can be thought of in a very similar vein to what happened in Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home. You know, the alien probe. All it was doing was just basically sending out a "Who are you?" signal, but it was so powerful that all your ship systems were basically hit by this enormous electromagnetic surge, which just knocked everything out.
Sort of like the Eye of Sauron.
Well, quite. With that amount of extra successes that you get, you think, because the thing's also acting like a tractor beam, it's also drawing the ship down towards the planet. You think that if you can send a signal at a certain frequency back down the beam, you could mitigate the most harmful effects of the beam and at least stabilize your orbit.
So, talking about reversing the neutron flow and bouncing a graviton particle beam off the main deflector dish.
Something
certainly sounds like some kind of reason engineering, or maybe daring engineering if it's enough from the hip.
I will accept either.
I'm happy to help.
While they're doing that, I want to check the radio waves again, but this time activating some buffers, because if it was getting just pure noise before, now we're actually in the middle of it. I have a feeling that it may overwhelm the systems unless they're prepared to basically have some sort of shock absorbers, or double checking. See if we get anything more of a clearer signal.
Is Davis doing the main role on this, or do you want me to go for it?
Up to you guys. Who do you think?
I think Vibus is still slightly busy.
Okay, so Nova does it and I'll help.
Yeah.
And maybe Davis can be the ship?
Yep.
Actually, no. You guys actually, you're modifying something of the ship, so maybe the ship's not best.
Yeah.
Oh,
no ship on
yeah.
So, go for it. Difficulty of 1, since you've gone over and above with that previous check. 1 success, or whatever Nova gets at this point is gravy. Ooh.
And parent figure, as I'm assisting, ignore the first complication.
Reroll 1 dice to reroll that 20, please.
No, it's not even a reroll, it's just ignore the complication.
Ignore the complication. Alright, never mind. And gone. Alright, so...
Doesn't like to lose.
Yeah. Natala, basically comes over behind Nova's shoulder and goes, no, like this. Don't do that.
Nova's just feeling like overly supervised at this point and just like not happy.
Right, okay, so you have now... You've now modified the, well, it's going to be the main deflector dish, really, isn't it? It always is. To send a pulse back down the beam. And as you do, Lieutenant Thazanan can confirm that the drag on the ship is now significantly less than it was. It's still acting like a tractor beam in that it is holding you there, but the pull is now less as a result, and so you don't have to keep shunting power into the engines to maintain your position in orbit. So that's good.
Is it worth now actively trying to scan the planet to work out the origin source?
I said, what do I need to roll to do? What's I do with the rechecking the community radio waves?
Let me see. If you're checking, then you're going to be doing control plus science.
I said, because I am preparing, as it was allowed before, to an hour in the middle of it to get something big. So anyway, I said there's applying some sort of dampeners or equivalent of shock absorbers for the volume of what might be about to come through the actual mic, so to speak.
Well, what I'll do is... let me think, actually.
He's just being very cautious of he doesn't want to overload the system now, they need to put it back together.
Yeah. Well, if you ask for Lieutenant Nova's assistance, with her being on ops and therefore power management, if the two of you coordinate, you can make sure that well, let me actually get the words out properly. Any potential power surge could be caught and siphoned off, as long as Nova's helping.
I was thinking more as an overload of instruments kind of thing, but yep.
So, what did I say?
Sir, if you could help.
Control plus science. Nova assisting control plus science, and since you're using the ship systems, somebody else who hasn't been the ship in a little bit.
You're definitely be instructed not to call Nova Sir by Nova.
I've been instructed by the captain to address all superior officers as Sir. That would be that instruction would be to countermand the captains, I'm afraid.
And the captain, nods appreciatively in Edwards' direction at that.
And I actively make him look stupid on this duty now.
Jan, can I get you to be the ships aiding this using communications plus science, please?
Science.
Comms and science, please.
If the captain wishes to give me permission to not address you as Sir, then I will.
Nova's just pretending to help and just not really doing
it. Just pretending to type away. Right, 2 successes overall, which is 1 and above what you needed. So, yeah, comm system is back online. You do get a definite sense of this radio signal is definitely stronger here now that you're in orbit over this planet, and there's a definite build-up in intensity. So if you imagine it, the radio waves given off are kind of almost like I may have mentioned before. They're like a kind of a background emission as a result of the intensity of this power, whatever it is. And so as a result, you're getting an indication that you're very close to this power source.
Sir, would you be able to use this to pinpoint where it's actually coming from, unless it is actually coming from the beam?
Is that directed at anybody in particular?
No, but I'm presuming I'm still working with Nova, that's why it would be directed towards. So.
He's actively ignoring it.
Natala, however, is right over Edwards' shoulder.
Yeah.
And is technically your departmental supervisor, so.
True, actually.
So basically, you're still trying to do things for the purpose of safety. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it's also while we've got a vague kind of like signal now we're closer, we might be able to use it to narrow down if it's coming from a specific spot that's not where this beam is. If it's the beam, then this is a waste of time. But just for the sake of thoroughness.
I mean, you're attempting to discern the location rather than
based off where this signal is coming from. We were able to clean up enough to get it's a build up. Let's confirm if it is specifically from either the beam or if there is something else specifically causing it, because this was being picked up before we entered the system.
Causing the power surge rather than I thought it was sort of established that we were being overwhelmed by the power of the transmission itself.
Is this transmission the beam? No, I'm running on the guys with the radio waves I'm picking up aren't necessarily caused by the beam. So there's no way to, as it currently stands, to confirm if it's coming directly from that or something else.
I'm unclear on what you mean by beam, because
There's a beam emanating from the planet, which was some kind of scanning
that seems to be
beam.
that seems not to be the because that's a scanning beam. That's not the source of the danger.
But it might. But he's asking if it's possibly the power source that he's reading radio waves from.
Oh, so if the radio waves are coming from the same source as the beam.
Yes, or if it's something else, or if it's coming from the beam. If it's from the beam, nothing lost. But if it's something else, then
it's obviously not coming from the beam, but coming from the same place as the beam. That's why I was getting.
Or a different place.
Okay.
So he's basically asking you to
scan for places that could be transmitting the signal, seeing if they're in proximity to the beam's source. Okay, I can do that.
Sorry.
So, Gareth, you get to be the ship this time. Actually, Webby, you haven't been the ship in a while.
Will it be control science again, or will it be...
Well, this is going to be more Natala's purview with sensors, so probably Natala's better to do the lead on this, but you can definitely assist.
I think it does sound like a control science rather than a reason science.
So, yeah, control science, just 1 dice from Edwards. Natala, control science, but obviously with your focus. The ship, whoever's doing the ship.
You're working with Natala, and there's only 1 complication happens rather than 2.
The ship can do sensors plus science as an aid.
Use momentum to reroll.
And also, we don't need a momentum because the ship was helping with sensors. Therefore, one of us gets to reroll a complication. Who's got? What's your control science? Mine's 15 plus
Same
focus.
As yours.
But I got the focus, so probably better I reroll the.
Yep.
So we'll ignore your complication. We'll reroll my complication.
Mm-hmm.
Love it when a team comes together like this. There we go. 2 15s instead.
We're re-rolling, we need to spend a momentum, don't we?
No, we don't, because it's using technical expertise for it.
So the first time I think was one of Natala's other talents. Ignoring...
So I'm using parent figure to ignore Alex's complication, and I'm using technical expertise to reroll my complication.
There you go. This is why it pays to have the best on the Navis.
Parent figure is such a broken skill.
I thought it was like once per encounter. You use it 3 times.
There's no limit on it according to us.
As long as you're assisting, it's fine.
As long as you're assisting, and 2 or more other characters are involved in the task, you can ignore the first complication generated on the task. So yeah. Well, you're basically badgering people to say, no, do it like this. Sorry, Shaun, I talked over you there.
I was just saying it's why she's a good choice for second officer. You just get people like Nova just feeling like overly micromanaged and not enjoying it.
That's 3 successes.
Don't argue with results.
Okay. Using sensors, you're definitely able to pinpoint that there's you can read the evidence of several structures on the surface, one of which is the larger of them, is definitely generating this beam. And the power, and a rather impressively large power source, which has, as a result of the sheer enormity of its power, is generating this kind of background radio emissions that's being broadcast out into space, definitely seems to be coming from somewhere below the same structure that the beam is emitting from. And as you realize that and relay that to everybody else, something happens. As all of a sudden, hopefully this goes off, you feel a tingling sensation, and you all are all of a sudden transported off the ship.
Food.
It's Latude all along.
It was Latude all along. So I'm just gonna.
It was the higher power.
I've put me back on the bridge so you can grab everyone.
That's fine. So let me get you the right ambience.
Will it make a difference if the game is still paused?
The game isn't
I don't
paused
think
here.
it's paused.
Just
I think it might be your laptop.
Then it's just me. Okay.
Not getting any sound. Why am I not getting any sound? Has that?
And if we take a minute, I gotta get my water refilled anyway.
Okay.
Then you guys finish at 10 anyway, so we're practically there.
Yeah. So we'll just wait for John to come back. I think my Sirenscape has crash-ed, so I will reload that while John is away.
I don't know what you guys do. I get this ship purring like a kitten, and the moment I tell everyone it's working fine, you break it.
It was Love Duty's just teleported us all away.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's better.
He gets teleported off the ship.
Or maybe they teleported the ship off us.
We're floating in space!
Just let us know when you're back, John. Getting water refilled.
So, Andrews, how are you enjoying your first trip as first officer?
Yeah.
Real important question is, did he manage to get all that paperwork finished before he was teleported off the ship?
We've all been locked down.
You did have a few hours with which, in between leaving Narendra Station and arriving at the Bacchus system, what with having to stop-start a few times due to the various anomalies that you have to cross. So Andrews would have had time to do time enough to realise that it was eating her life away and that she would rather be somewhere else at any particular point, and so at any point during that would have elected to leave her office just to do something other than what she was doing. The pain.
Oh, the pain.
Yeah, Natala's got a load of messages in her inbox. Delegated. Any complaints? Any complaints of doing paperwork, Natala? Speak now.
Currently in Andrew's inbox, you have 20 minutes to move your ship. You have 10 minutes to move your ship. Your ship has been impounded. Your ship has been teleported into a death planet. You have 20 minutes to move your death planet.
Come on, John.
Turns out, if you've done your paperwork, then this wouldn't be happening.
Yeah, Andrews.
Sounds legit.
Oh, why don't we abuse the captain, because she has spirit of discovery? She can just spend determination to give us 3 points of momentum. we should just totally abuse the captain. Yeah, just slap her at the start of every encounter. Like,
he's back.
Momentum has never been the bottleneck.
Yeah.
We haven't bottlenecked of anything.
Contrary to what the map currently shows you, you feel a strange glow and aura fill your body as you are transported off of the ship. That includes the captain, the first officer, the second officer, the communications officer. That includes Nova. That includes the chief engineer. Includes Thazanan and the good doctor.
All about this doctor.
So Vibers.
The good doctor and Dr. Moss. Hello, Dr. Good. Good to see you again.
Vibers, Bertram, Captain Ducasse, Commander Andrews, Nova, Thazanan, Edwards, and Natala all find themselves on the surface of the planet.
Structure-wise, Latude is in command.
Since you are breathing comfortably and not suffering any adverse effects, you must conclude that this must be an M-class planet. One of the enormous geometrical structures visible with the naked eye from orbit now towers in front of you. This giant pentagonal cylinder must have a diameter of at least 10 kilometers and is so tall you cannot see the top. It appears to be made from a single piece of stone, as no seams or other joints are apparent. And, as such, I am going to leave us there.
Damn it, just when there's something my speciality could apply for right in front of me.
Yep. And as such, we will get straight into it, as said speciality, when we come back next week.
I have one final vitally important question that needs to be asked about Mr. Edwards. That cadet uniform, is it red?
It is not, has blue shoulders at the top.
Our away team will consist of Captain Ducasse, Commander Andrews, Lieutenant Commander blah 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 blah, and Mr. Edwards. Oh shit.
In order to try and get
acting ensign.
a Natala with the correct number of pips, I started a new STO character at the start of the session. I need to get to level 10 in order to get the Lieutenant Commander pip to put on the character. I'm currently at level 9.
Why don't you just let me buy a new Nobulan crew officer and stick them at the bridge?
Yeah, but then you know.
Then John doesn't get the satisfaction of acting like he's in Natala's shoes. Oh, that's cute. I'm actually kind of flattered because that means you've invested so much mental effort into Natala that you're thinking about replicating her in another game. So that's cool. I like that. Jan, how are you doing on power at the moment? Since I heard your power's out in your area.
Yeah, still got it's regular occurrence. Stupid power supply, or local national power supply. I've still got more than an hour on my battery, and my router is fine.
Okay, cool. Well, I was paranoid about the pacing there, hoping that you wouldn't get suddenly cut off at a critical moment. So timing has worked out quite well there overall. So, yeah, we'll get to find out more on where you are and what's going on next week. In that regard, hopefully we can finish this episode next week, because the week afterwards I am on holiday, so there will not be another session the week after next. I know, I'm depriving you of your fix, so I'm sorry about that.
This is where we nudge Jan and go, Jan. Jan.
Well, yeah, exactly.
We have another Vesson session.
That'll be my moving week anyway, if things go to plan, so I probably wouldn't be around anyway.
There you go then. So yeah, I won't be there. So it's up to you guys if you want to do something in the interim.
I do need to discuss that with Shaun once we're done.
Cool. Well, in that case, even though it's a bit premature, as far as the stream is concerned, yeah, thanks for tuning in, those who did tune in, and we'll find out what happens to the crew of the Navis on this strange planet in the Bacchus system next week. Until then, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Hailing frequencies are now closed.